NCAA football game matches Youngstown State versus the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Welcome to Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia, where the defending 1AA national champions play host to Youngstown State from Ohio. It's their first head-to-head meeting ever. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Tilley. Glad you could join us. You know, Youngstown State has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, but while the Penguins have lost 2 in a row, the Eagles have won 3 straight. An important game as we begin November, the final month of the regular season. And Sam Smith is with me. Pleasure of working with him again. And Sam, this game really billed as an important game prior to the season, with Youngstown last year going undefeated during the regular season, and of course Georgia Southern winning the national championship last year. But both teams have 3 losses today.
Well, you know, last week when we played Central Florida, referring to Georgia Southern, we billed it as a survival game. This week we'll build it as a progress game for both these teams, Georgia Southern and Youngstown State. Looking at the top 20, we'll show you some of the teams that both these ball clubs are trying to overcome. For example, Nevada, along with Holy Cross, are the only unbeaten teams, but Holy Cross not in the playoffs by virtue of their conference affiliation. And number 4, Northern Iowa, is a tough game at number 17, Southwest Missouri. Looking at the next 10, Alabama State is already committed with the Black College Bowl in Miami. They won't be in the playoffs, but Appalachian State could qualify with the automatic bid in the Southern Conference Championship with a win at the Citadel. 2 other Southern Conference teams are doing well, including Furman, number 13, impressive 5-2 record right now, and Marshall is number 19. Right now they're 4-3 and are kind of struggling, and that brings us to Georgia Southern tied with Lehigh for number 20. Lehigh, another one of those teams not headed for the playoffs. With Youngstown getting some votes for the top 20, you can see that Georgia Southern and also Youngstown State have to make a big move if they want to make it to the playoffs, but there's going to be some big games before it's all over, and today they both can take a big step forward in their progress towards the playoffs.
Well, as we begin to focus on the strategy for this game, our keys to the game, we can tell you that Youngstown State's going to have to do something with the ball.
They have to, and as a matter of fact, they have to start a offense right off the bat, and they have to get an offense either around the run or to throw. They throw the ball very well, but that could be hard against a very good defense for Georgia Southern. They've got to avoid turnovers. They, in the last 2 years, have led the nation in turnover margins, but they're not even on the charts this year, and they need some big plays out of their kicking game. Their special teams just have to do something well. On the other side of the coin, Georgia Southern, their high-level defense, they have not allowed a touchdown in 14 of the last 15 quarters. Quite obviously, they're playing very well. The running game, how about Eford with 142 yards last week? They have to get that same kind of thing going. And specialty teams, they got a punt run back for 51 yards for a touchdown for them last week. They'll need that same kind of activity, and they hope to pick up. And you can see it all comes down to execution before the day is all over.
We'll indeed see 2 great quarterbacks on the field this afternoon. Ray Isaac of Youngstown State is the big playmaker.
Well, he certainly is. They call him the Colonel. He's a guy that in the last 32 ball games have led this Youngstown State ball club to 24 victories. He runs the option well and throws the ball very well, but he throws into a very tough coverage for Georgia Southern. The other side, the junior quarterback Derek McGrady. The Hollywood story has been written twice. Can it happen 3 times in a row? The young man from Statesboro. They worked very hard this week, Mike, in trying to get him to pick up the plays a little quicker from the sideline. It caused some problems and delays and motions last week. They're trying to get a little bit more continuity for the young man McGrady for Georgia Southern this week.
2 Division I AA powers trying to get back into the playoffs. An important game, November 2nd, a big contest in the 1AA playoff picture. We'll have more in a moment.
1,000 people are expected to be in the seats and on the mounds around a beautifully manicured Glenn Bryant Field. This is a natural grass surface in very good shape. This, by the way, is only the 2nd time this year Youngstown State has played on a natural grass field, and they lost their only other encounter on the real stuff to Delaware State in the 2nd week of the season. Of course, this grass has been very good to Georgia Southern. 53-2 on this field. Great day for a football game. The forecast calls for temperatures around 70 degrees. We've got light white wispy clouds and a sun-drenched sky and a westerly breeze between 8 and 12 miles an hour. You couldn't ask for a better day or a better atmosphere for what will be a big football game. It may be the Penguins and the Eagles, but it's definitely not for the Birds. We'll be back with more in just a minute.
Back at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. Mike Tilley along with Sam Smith, and we're about ready to kick off this crucial 1AA football game between Youngstown State and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern won the coin toss, deferred to the second half, so Youngstown State kicking off, or actually receiving but Dave Roberts and Malcolm Everett will not even get an opportunity to return it. Youngstown State will start offensively at the 20-yard line, and there's a look at Ray Isaac, number 9, the senior quarterback who's really been the big playmaker for this Penguin offense this season. We'll indeed hear a lot from him. Youngstown State 4-3, a week off last Saturday in preparation for this game, and you can see Isaac's numbers. First down 10 for Youngstown State out of Ohio. Running that option, pitch goes back. Turning the corner to about the 25-yard line. 4-yard pickup for number 22, Leo Hawkins, the senior from Austintown, Ohio. We'll get a chance to look at the Youngstown State offense. Ray Isaac at quarterback, Wood, fullback, Hawkins, Williams, Ballinger, Strollo, of course, the tight end. There's a look at that offensive front, which, by the way, outweighs the Eagles across the front by an average of 15 pounds. We'll look at the defense for Georgia Southern in just a moment as Trent Boykin is split out to the near side of the field. The handoff to Hawkins up the middle. He's got a first down across the 35.
Mike, this is exactly what Youngstown wanted to do, come out and establish the running game, which would set up the short dump-in passes. And you can see the explosive power of Leo Hawkins already with 542 yards rushing. He just explodes to the line of scrimmage, and he had a lot of green before somebody gets him from behind. Again, you see the good reaction to the blocks up front. And finally coming from the offside, they get the tackle, but not before Maxwell, their leading tackler, can bring him down.
So it'll be first down and 10 for the Penguins. The handoff, first man through, has a hole up to midfield before he was tripped up. Tamron Smith in the lineup now, carries across midfield.
Just got to give credit to that offensive line. They right now are getting everybody on the defensive line for Georgia Southern to the outside. It's opening up the gaping holes, and somebody also is doing a good job in taking the linebackers out of there.
There's a look at Tamron Smith, a sophomore out of Youngstown, averaging 5.5 yards per carry. He's leading his team in that category. So the Penguins are in Eagles territory. First down and 10 at the 49. Herb Williams split out to the far side of the field. Isaac goes right up the middle, and he picks up about 5 yards. Nick Davis, the sophomore linebacker, made the stop.
You can kind of get an idea. Youngstown right now has things going very much their way. Just a little quarterback delay right up the middle. He could see what was happening to these front four people for Georgia Southern and their linebackers. It was opening up the hole. If it's there, you run right over the middle. And even Shane Maxwell, their leading scorer, couldn't stop him before he gets into the secondary for Georgia Southern.
Second down 4. The handoff, number 22, Hawkins picks up another first down across the 40. It'll be marked at the 38. Shane Maxwell finally pulled him down. So the Penguins are moving the ball well on the ground here early.
There's been some changes made on that front line for Georgia Southern. For example, they started Michael Morris. Also, they started Sean Harrelson. Now they come back with Alex Mash and also come back in with Michael Berry as they try to put a halt to this fine running game so far for Youngstown State.
Cameron Smith, number 25, the sophomore running back in the lineup. First down 10, Smith. He's right at the 30-yard line, picks up 8.
Mike, this is quite a story for Smith. He lost his father to a brain aneurysm. That was just 3 weeks ago. He's been troubled by a bad knee. Already has rushed for over 600 yards, and just the mental approach to the game has been the big concern at Youngstown State. But this is a very, very talented sophomore, and he'll get only better as time goes by for the Penguins.
Just underway in Statesboro, Georgia. Georgia Southern, Youngstown State. The Penguins with the ball, 31-yard line. Again, right up the middle, Hawkins has the first down. Georgia Southern has one of the most talented defenses in the country, haven't allowed a touchdown in 14 of the last 15 games. But being tested, and there's a look at Jim Tressel, head coach for the Youngstown State in his 6th season. Williams and Boykin split to the near side of the field on first down and 10. Hit right behind the line. Hawkins was smothered under. The defense was coming strong. And he'll lose to Steve Buccialetti was in there along with Nick Davis.
Well, this is just a case of a guy saying, hey, we've had enough of this. And Buccialetti, the All-American with 14 sacks a year ago, was into the backfield right after the handoff was made. And you see the good containment on the inside of the line now that's been made. Some good adjustments by Georgia Southern. The linebackers are rushing from the outside. Interior linemen are staying home. And in that particular case, they get them for a 3-yard loss.
There's a look at Buccialetti, an important leader on this Eagles defensive unit. Second down, 13. Up the middle, wide open, Hawkins across the 10-yard line to the 9. Actually, Tamron Smith got the handoff, number 25. And Youngstown is finding the openings right up the middle.
And what they're doing, Mike, they're running away now from Buccialetti. Buccialetti is on the opposite side. They ran right by Berry. You can see the quickness that Smith possesses as he gets into the secondary, and it takes a host of folks to get him down. Fine looking back here for the Penguins.
Mark Giles, number 10, finally getting there to make the stop. Ryan Wood, number 46, is in now for the Penguins. The freshman fullback, Leo Hawkins, lined up behind him, and Isaac is going to have to take a timeout. He didn't like something he saw on first down and goal. So we'll take a timeout as well. 10 minutes, 9 seconds to go in the first quarter. No score yet, but Youngstown has first and goal at the 9. Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. There's a look at Jim Tressel, the Penguins head coach in his 6th season, a former assistant at Ohio State. And he's having to go up on the other side against, of course, Tim Stowers, who certainly has done an outstanding job in his 2nd season now with the Eagles, and both anticipating this game and the importance of it, as Youngstown State will face a first and goal at the 9-yard line on its opening series of the game. The drive began back at the 20, and Hawkins has carried for 18 yards, Smith for 47. Isaacs rolling out to throw, the first pass attempt of the game, and he throws incomplete. Shane Maxwell was pressuring him to get rid of it.
Shane Maxwell is the #1 tackler with 84 tackles and 47 solos. He was supporting from the inside. He'll come from the right side of your screen. Isaac rolling to his right. Great coverage. Both the cornerbacks, Whitley and Oglesby, had covered well, and you see the good pursuit of Maxwell. At that time, Isaac just had to dump the ball for Youngstown State. Well, I tell you, Maxwell is quite a story. This 6'4", 204 senior. And he is certainly the bell cow for this defense this year for Georgia Southern.
Leading tackler on the team, averaging 11 tackles a game. Second down goal. The handoff right up the middle. Smith is across the 5 to the 4. Tamron Smith really moving the ball well. 5 carries now in this opening drive for 53 yards.
Mike, one of the nice things about the offensive lineman for Youngstown State is that they don't have to block long. Smith is so quick, he's to the line of scrimmage. All you have to do is get what is called a good base containment block. Influence your man one way or the other. Smith is reading it well, and that's one of the reasons this drive has been so good for Youngstown State.
And remember, Youngstown outweighs the Eagles across the front by an average of 15 pounds. Third down goal. Isaac will throw. Incomplete. It was intended for Andre Ballinger, but just overthrew him. It'll bring up 4th down and goal at the 4. And Jeff Wilkins, the place kicker, coming onto the field for Youngstown State.
Ballinger a little disappointed. That pass was overthrown just a bit. Ballinger is known as a receiver that can catch it in a crowd, but he was all by himself in the backside of that end zone.
Wilkins 4 of 7 on field goals this year. This one a 22-yard attempt. And it's good. So Jeff Wilkins hits the 22-yard field goal to put Youngstown State on top after that impressive 75-yard drive to open up the game. The Eagles will get their opportunity to get the ball back when we come back. 3-0 game, 9:10 to go, first quarter. Youngstown State has taken a 3-0 lead on Georgia Southern with 9:10 to go in the first quarter, and the defensive coach is talking with the Eagles about that first series. An impressive drive for Youngstown State. Began with the 20-yard line and moved it all the way to the 5, but did have to settle for a field goal after a first and goal opportunity, so the defense at least held at the goal line. Wilkins kick taken at the 15-yard line. Chris Wright hit right at the 27. He'll go down at the 28-yard line, and number 28, Brian Coleman, was there to actually make the initial hit, but the Eagles will start offensively at the 28-yard line. While we have a moment, we want to remind you the announcers for this game have been contracted for and approved by Georgia Southern University. Any use, rebroadcast, or other transmission of this game without the written consent of the Georgia Southern Sports Network and Host Creative Communications is prohibited. Derek McGrady, the starting quarterback for Georgia Southern, his junior season, facing first down and 10. His team trailing 3-0. Will run the option. Pitches back. Hudson gets to the outside. First down across the 45 and up to the 49.
Mike, this is a great play for Georgia Southern because Youngstown has just driven the ball right down the throat of the Eagles. They needed to come out and make something happen to do the effort. Watch the block by Eford, number 35 on the corner. He's leading the play. Great pitch by McGrady right in stride, and nothing more than just turn the corner and head upfield for Don Hudson, and a huge play as Georgia Southern tries to ram it back down the throat of the Penguins.
19-yard gain, first down 10 at the 48. Handoff, Eford trying to get something off left tackle, and he was met right at the line of scrimmage by that powerful defensive front for Youngstown State.
That defensive front line, by the way, averages 6'2" and 245. And you know there's going to be a linebacker that has nothing more than the assignment of going after 35. Eford with 142 last week. They're not going to give him that many this week.
Look at the Eagles' offensive lineup, the starters at offensive front. Second down, 8. Hopkins and Sorrell to the near side of the field, and right up the middle on what looked like a broken play. Maybe a 2-yard gain.
Almost appeared that McGrady was a little confused on what was being run there. The linemen were holding at the line of scrimmage, which gave him the option to either run or throw. I think McGrady looked up and the coverage was so good he just elected to try to get something out of it.
And there's a look at the defensive line for Youngstown State along with the linebackers, Powers, Evans, Brown, and Coleman. And the secondary, Brown, Everett, Roberts, and Randy Smith, the freshman from Buffalo, New York, starting at the cornerback spot. McGrady looking to throw. Incomplete, almost intercepted. Brian Coleman had his hands on it and couldn't hold it. Actually, I said Brian Coleman, but 26 is Malcolm Everett who had a hand on it. Let's head down to the sideline. Jim Campbell is covering it for us. Jim?
Mike and Sam, that was a typical as it would be drawn up drive for the Penguins. They want to go power inside with Smith, outside with Isaac and Hawkins. Now the test is their defense. They've been very inconsistent. This will be a big series for them.
Thanks, Jim. Norton punting into the end zone. And so Youngstown State will get it back at the 20-yard line. And as they get set to bring the offense back on the field, we'll take a break as well. 7:12 to go in the first quarter. 3-0. Youngstown with the lead. Back at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia, the home of the Eagles, and Georgia Southern trailing 3-0 with 7 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the first quarter. And the stadium holds 18,000 fans. A lot of them end up going on the bank in the end zone for a nice view. And on a sunny Saturday afternoon in November and a temperature around 70 degrees, it's perfect to maybe even get a suntan while you enjoy a football game. Ray Isaac, starting quarterback for the Penguins, led them to the field goal on their opening drive. Now first down 10 at the 20. Hawkins across the 25 picks up 5 yards, and the Penguins start right where they left off on the last series, right up the middle.
Mike, Youngstown's doing a good job. They're running with a single back, and they've got 3 wide receivers. What it's doing, it's spreading the defense so wide for Georgia Southern. The fact the ball squarely in the center of the football field, that it's very difficult to support from the inside out. And quite obviously, Youngstown State has had very good success, and now you see that lone backfield runner once again.
Second down 4. Handoff on the counter. Smith, he was hit right at the line of scrimmage. The defense was waiting for him. Shane Maxwell there to make the stop. There's a look at Irk Russell, legendary coach at Georgia Southern.
This man has done so much for college football, not so much just for Georgia Southern. A lot of folks that say Division I AA football, that's not very good. Eric Russell and Georgia Southern have turned that completely around.
3rd down 2 for the Penguins. Isaac keeping on the option, has the first, and he goes down at the 35. Steve Buccialetti finally made the stop, but not before Isaac could pick up a first down.
Isaac's one of those players that has so many options when he comes down the line of scrimmage. Now, he can pitch the ball, he can run it. He had his idea made up right there, and Isaac's already rushed for over 216 yards. Winner of 24 of the last 32 ball games as a starter, is a young man that has had to adapt to a lot of different people in the backfield. But according to Jim Trussell, he's done a great job with the Penguins.
Boykin split to the near side of the field on 1st down 10. Running the option again. Hawkins met right at the line. Great defensive effort to make the stop. Michael Berry, number 56, along with Mark Giles in there.
Berry made 5 tackles last week against Central Florida. He's got great speed. And you watch him as he's across the line of scrimmage as Smith gets it. Hello. And there's Mr. Michael Berry at 6'3", 231 pounds. And no matchup there for Tamron Smith at 5'8" and 200 pounds.
Michael Berry with 3 sacks this year. Linebacker last season, moved to that defensive end position this year. 2nd down, a long 10. A handoff, Hawkins picks up maybe 3 yards, and the Georgia Southern defense starting to hold a little bit better. With under 5 minutes to play in the first quarter, the Penguins hold a 3-0 lead.
Mike, what Georgia Southern's able to do now, they're not so much in a man-for-man coverage on the wide receivers. They're zoning that as they have most of the game, but trying to pick them up man-for-man for at least the first 10 yards. They're kind of shading the cornerbacks in. Whitley, along with Oglesby, are both shading towards the line of scrimmage, and is giving more containment on the inside for the Eagles. Let's see if Youngstown takes something wide on this play here.
3rd down 8. Ballinger split out to the far side of the field. Isaac will throw. Pressure. Picked off. Mark Giles picks it off at the 40-yard line.
Well, this was all created by a great rush in the front line. Yes, Mark Giles playing center field. One of the 47 walk-ons that have made this ball club so good. Well, watch the pursuit as Isaac goes back. A little miscommunication there, and he lets fly over the middle, overthrows his receiver, and Giles with the intercept. And there's one of the first big plays of the day for Georgia Southern.
And you mentioned the turnover factor, and the Eagles capitalize, or at least stopping the Youngstown drive, and now we'll see what the Eagles can do offensively. McGrady hit right at the line of scrimmage, trying to run that option. No gain at all.
Like the turnover ratio for a ball club, most coaches would like to have it at least in double figures. For example, Georgia Southern is a +12 in the takeaways compared to their turnovers. Youngstown has now dropped to only a +4 in their takeover ratio. They led the nation the last 2 years. This year they're 4-3, and thus the turnover problem has given them the big problems of the year.
2nd down, 9. Eford trying to pick up some yardage, and he had nowhere to go. Had 142 yards last week in the win over Central Florida, a 20-6 victory for the Eagles. And last week the Eagles offense got off to a slow start.
They did, and it actually turned out to be a punt return of 51 yards by Oglesby that gave them the opportunity to go on and win that one over a very good Central Florida ball club for about 3.5 quarters.
Darren Willis in the lineup, number 1, split to the near side of the field. 3rd down 9. McGrady incomplete, almost picked off. Reggie Brown had a hand on it that time. And the Eagles are going to have to punt.
This was pretty well set up down the sideline. Darren Willis, number 1, was the intended receiver. Caught only 5 passes all year, but that one tipped at the line of scrimmage. Another good rush by Georgia, again, Youngstown State.
Don Norton in the punt, averaging 41 yards a punt. 49 his longest. Dave Roberts back to receive. 7 yards a return. Nice high spiraling punt. Taken by Ballinger. Nowhere to go. He goes down at the 12, and a penalty marker goes down late. We'll have to wait to see what the penalty is on the specialty teams, but Andre Ballinger, averaging about 6 yards a return, a senior out of Youngstown, Ohio, played high school ball at South High.
Well, Ballinger may have made a cardinal mistake here. He fielded the ball, first of all, over his shoulder and running in the wrong direction and inside the 10-yard line. Yes, the ball can skip out of the side of the football field, and you have to take it inside the 10. But I think the percentage of that ball taking a hop and in and out of the end zone might have been better.
Flipping on the run back, half the distance to the goal line. It'll be first down.
Dave Neal is our referee, and I think the first penalty of the game, and it's not against the Eagles. Timeout on the field, 2:50 to go in the first quarter. Youngstown still holds the field goal lead.
Regrettable, but
Back in Statesboro, Georgia, prior to that break, we were talking about the penalties. Last week against Central Florida, Georgia Southern was penalized a record 144 yards, and so the concern was minimizing those mental mistakes today. And so far, in the first 12 minutes of the game, no penalties against the Eagles. After that half the distance to the gold penalty, Youngstown starts 1st and 10 at the 6-yard line. The give to Smith. He got a little room on the outside, but then tackled by 42, actually, and on the play, Jim Mutimer.
This is good pursuit now. Once again, the safeties and all of the corners are right up on the corner, not anticipating Isaacs to throw the ball at all. And Jim Mutimer, a guy they say can run all day long and is a real hard-nosed football player, right up on the line of scrimmage, helping that containment there for Georgia Southern.
Had 2 interceptions last Saturday. 2nd down 7. Isaac Lucilletti turns him back inside, and he'll go down at the 13. Darius Dawson officially making the stop. Michael Berry, number 56, also in there as you look at the Eagle in the crowd.
By the way, Mike, number 8, New Hampshire in the Division I AA, right now leading Boston University 7-0. Other scores: Boston College 10, Pittsburgh 6 in the second, West Virginia 7, Rutgers 3. That's in the second. Alabama, Mississippi State scoreless in the first. Clemson's lead Wake Forest 7-0 in the first. North Carolina over Maryland 14-0 in the second quarter.
3rd down 2. Isaac keeping on the option, turns it back. He'll not get the first down. Darius Dawson made the stop, and Youngstown will have to punt. Darius Dawson, averaging 6 tackles a game, makes a big one there.
Well, he gets some good help as you see the pursuit coming from the outside in. And again, that's Whitley, number 4, who turned it in. Coming up, Mark Giles, and then finally Dawson will finally get the stopper there.
Ucciarelli averaging 36 yards a punt. Georgia Southern has blocked 7 this year. Not a very good punt at all. Oglesby will let it hit at the 40. Rolls to midfield, and so with the bounce, it'll rest at the 49-yard line, and that's where the Eagles will begin offensively following the punt.
Well, the defense of Georgia Southern has suddenly started to rear their head here, Mike, and the fact that you may recall that first drive was kind of scary if you were a Georgia Southern fan, because Youngstown just dominated in that first yard drive for the field goal, but now the Southern defense, set up by the good field position off the kicking of Don Norton, now have the ball in their good field position.
37-yard punt, 1st down 10 at the 49. McGrady on the option, pitches back. Hopkins, and he's across the 45 to the 43. 7-yard pickup for Hopkins. Marcus Evans made the stop. Hopkins, the senior from Bishop, Georgia, has a touchdown this year. Head coach Tim Stowers in his 2nd season, the youngest Division I coach at 33 years of age. Last year won the national 1AA championship in Statesboro. McGrady turns it back, and he'll go down at the 44-yard line. No gain at all. Great effort by Tom Rakovic to make the stop.
You know, Mike, it's interesting as you watch McGrady once again try to make something happen to the outside. They had pinned down for the outside so well, he just tried to turn it up in the middle, and it turns right into the teeth of the defense at Youngstown. It's interesting to see, as McGrady fighting for yardage here, how much time he's now taking in getting the play from the sideline, because last week it was the delays and also the motions that cost him dearly here at Georgia Southern.
We have officially played one quarter as you take a look at Tom Rakovic getting set to move to the other end of the field. And after one period of play, Georgia Southern trails Youngstown State 3-0. We'll be back with more in a moment. Mike Tilley and Sam Smith back with you at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. 3-0 game and a defensive struggle despite Youngstown State moving the ball so effectively in the first series. Had to settle for a field goal, and since then it's been midfield back and forth with the defenses controlling. But it's third down now for the Eagles as we begin the second quarter. McGrady running the option, turns it back inside. He'll pick up 2, but he'll be about 2 yards short. And the Eagles will have to punt on fourth down at the 42. Let's go to Jim Campbell on the sideline.
Down here on the Georgia Southern sideline, it's been a game of adjustments. The offense is being asked to take a quick look at Trent Boykin and anybody that lines up on the wing inside him. That is a key for them in the passing game. Defensively, they're being asked, or offensively rather, they're being asked to check the YSU linebackers, check their gaps, and make sure that people aren't getting through. So the chess game has started in a very good football game.
Norton with a great punt, and it's down by number 42, Jim Mutimer, inside the 5 at the 3-yard line. And so that's where Youngstown State will get it, deep in Eagle territory. Timeout on the field, 14:20 to go in the second quarter. Second quarter just underway. Youngstown State holding that 3-0 lead over Georgia Southern in Statesboro, Georgia. And a great punt and great specialty teams play by the Eagles to pin the Penguins back inside the 5-yard line. Ball resting at the 4. And we talked about the specialty teams, and certainly the Eagles get a plus or a check mark on that one. So the Penguins start on first down, 10 at the 4. Pass early, and it's incomplete. Rodney Oglesby covering defensively, and Brandon Roselle was the receiver. Second 10.
Here's a reminder for this. Accommodations for some of our crew and staff are provided by the Days Inn of Statesboro. Free continental breakfast, exercise room, cable TV, jacuzzi suites, and efficiencies available located directly across from Georgia Southern University. Convenient to shopping and restaurants. For nationwide reservations, call toll-free 1-800-325-2525.
Second down 10, 3-yard line. The handoff to the first man through across the 15 to the 17-yard line. Tamron Smith continues to pick up the yardage. He has 65 yards here in the first half.
I tell you what, Mike, this is almost like looking at yourself in the mirror because Georgia Southern runs the option so well, and Youngstown State under this man, JT to his friends, have come in and they've run the option very well. They've mixed the plays up. They haven't thrown quite as much as I expected them to, mostly because their running game is going so well. But I tell you what, the option being defense by both these ball clubs is exactly what the offense of both teams are running throughout the year.
First down 10. Isaac, 20-yard line, 25. Picks up 6 yards. Paul Sickley making the stop.
Sprint out on the outside by Isaacs. You saw him look one way, and here he comes the other. Always having a pitch man to throw with. And he gets up a little bit slowly after being dumped. By the way, there is a possible injury for Georgia Southern. Darius Dawson, number 46, is limped to the sideline. He's been playing some pretty good strong linebacker, but he is limped off and is being looked at by the trainers on the sideline after getting a whack on the outside of the left leg.
We have a new quarterback, Nick Cochran, the junior from Ohio. He's seen some playing time against Liberty. He was in and out through the second half of the game. And the handoff to Hawkins across the 30-yard line picks up the first down. And you saw Ray Isaac go to the sideline, and we'll check on his situation. But there's a look at Hawkins, the senior who has 9 touchdowns this year.
Jim Trussell was actually just in frustration trying to find something that worked against Liberty 2 weeks ago, and he alternated the 2 quarterbacks. He was not anticipating to do that, but now a possible injury for Isaacs has at least got Cochran in for a play, and now Isaacs is back.
First down 10. Isaac will throw. He's 0 of 4 passing in the first half. He completes his first one to Smith, ahead to the 39-yard line. So a 7-yard pickup on a first down. Shane Maxwell there to make the stop.
Well, it's a pretty well disguised little screenplay. As again, Isaac's a man who has been in the saddle there for a third year. Watch him that pump fake, and now he lets it go, and the screen has been set up on the near side. Catching the ball and running with it is Smith, and boy, you got to love the opportunity of getting him the ball in the open field. But Shane Maxwell covers so well in the passing for Georgia Southern there to what turned out to look like a big play into only a 6-yard gain.
Second down, a long 3, 38-yard line. The handoff, Smith powers right at the 40-yard line to the 41. It'll be third down and about 1. You know, actually Youngstown is the 15th best rushing offense in Division I AA, averaging 224 yards per game on the ground with that option offense. So the Penguins do indeed move it well, and primarily because of that big offensive line and the talents of Isaac, who runs the option so well.
Georgia Southern making a couple of adjustments now. They bring Muniber off one of their deep backs and bring in one of the down linemen, anticipating out of this wishbone eye here.
Third down 1, hit behind the line, Hawkins, and I don't think he got the first down. Paul Sickley met him right at the line of scrimmage, about a yard short, so it's going to be 4th and 1.
So watch as the down lineman here, the second back through, and they try to give it to him, and watch the penetration by Mash coming from the outside. And yes, the Mash unit has done their job again for Georgia Southern, and a punt for Youngstown State.
Bucciarelli into punt, had a 37-yard punt earlier. Rodney Oglesby waiting for it back at the 25. High punt. Oglesby, 25, goes down right at the 30-yard line. Oglesby had that 51-yard TD punt return that actually broke Central Florida last week. Timeout on the field, 10:42 to go in the first half. Georgia Southern 5-3 this year. Youngstown State at 4-3. The Penguins have lost 2 in a row entering this game, while the Eagles have won 3, including the win over James Madison 2 weeks ago, a top 20 team in Central Florida last week. And the Eagles get the ball first down and 10 at the 28. Couple of yard gain by Eford, and Eford has carried 3 times now for 3 yards. So he certainly is not moving the ball, and he's not gotten a lot of opportunities here in the first half.
Both the coaches have been able to stay pretty close to the game plan of keeping the ball on the ground, as neither team has completed on a pass as of yet. So quite obviously that is still a weapon to be pulled out of both of their arsenals before the day is over.
Second down, 9. McGrady rolling out, looking long. Willis is open, knocked away, incomplete. Good defense by David Newby, but a penalty marker went down. We may have pass interference.
Mike, I think you're going to see when we take a look at this again, it's face guarding rather than going for the ball or guarding the man, or looking to try to stop the ball. As again, they play wide up the field, but now they may go that Willis was coming back. Let's go to the referee here.
Interference. Defense.
Defensive interference.
Here again, a good rollout. And again, as McGrady, watch this ball as it hangs so nicely. Willis is running now. As the ball's coming down, Willis had to stop and hesitate. But watch the defender never look back to the football. And that's the key, as David Newby was face guarding. And that's the interference that they call. They bring it back to the line of scrimmage. March off the penalty there. First down for Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern with the automatic first down. The second first down for the Eagles here in the first half. Belser and Willis split out. McGrady turns it back inside, hit hard, picked off. Reggie Brown is going to go all the way. Touchdown. Unbelievable.
This is just a matter of being in the right place at exactly the right time. As again, McGrady got himself into trouble, and rather than tucking it down and taking either a 1-yard loss or maybe getting a gain out of it, he gets into traffic and then jumping in the air tries to flip it. And look at this. In open stride, it's all setting sail for Reggie Brown. 4.6 speed in the 40. Nobody's going to catch him because everybody's going the other way. And there's the big break that Youngstown needed, as they've broken it open here a bit, now leading 9-0.
The freshman from Cleveland, Ohio, returns at 47 yards, and the defense makes a big play here in the second quarter. Jeff Wilkins is 19 of 19 on extra points this year. We'll try to make it a 10-0 game in the second quarter. Ball's loose. Wilkins picks it up. Trying to get rid of it. It's picked off. Incomplete. Incomplete. And so the attempted extra point will not go down on the fumbled snap. Timeout on the field at 9:54 to go in the first half. A little bit crazy. The Penguins are on top by 9.
There is only one person who can tell the legendary story of Irk Russell, and that is the man himself. In the new book, Irk, Football Fans and Friends, readers will get to know the coach, his thoughts, his dreams, his struggles, and his triumphs. Stories never before heard. During 40 years of coaching at Auburn, Georgia, and Georgia Southern, Irk Russell asked only one thing of his players: give it your best. That's precisely what he has done in his new book, coming soon to a bookstore near you.
There's a look at Reggie Brown of Cleveland, Ohio, the hero of the moment. Had an outstanding play, as you'll remember. Watch it again. Unbelievable as McGrady turns inside.
Well, again, this is where he made the mistake, first of all, of jumping in the air. Secondly, of ill-advised pitch. You can see the man waiting for it. Had nothing to do. Hudson, and it's set to the races for Brown. Big play for Youngstown. And I tell you what, that missed extra point, the muffed extra point, could come back and be one of the keys before this game's over. But right now the Penguins are enjoying their celebration.
9-0 lead for Youngstown State against the defending 1AA champions, as Chris Wright will take the touchback, and the Eagles will begin at the 20-yard line. Let's go down to the sideline and check in with Jim.
Quick note on that botched extra point attempt. That bad snap or a fumbled snap cost the Penguins a field goal against Liberty, which ultimately was the difference in the game. By the way, Jeff Wilkins is a former high school quarterback and a good one, so he could be dangerous if they have trouble with another snap.
Thanks, Jim. Georgia Southern is going to go with Charles Bostic back into quarterback this offensive unit. Derek McGrady, of course, who was started this game, started against Central Florida and really came in relief of Bostic in the James Madison game and led the Eagles from a 21-0 deficit to a 24-21 win. So he earned the starting job last week, and now Bostic coming in as the offense is unable to move the ball. And there's a look at that scoring drive, one play. And a face mask penalty against the Eagles on that specialty teams play, the kickoff. Have to wait and see what the officials decide to do, but the officials, by the way, provided by the Mid-American Conference today, and Dave Neal is our head referee.
You know, Mike, that was kind of scary for Georgia Southern because Chris Wright caught the ball in the end zone and never once went down on his knee. 2 or 3 of the Youngstown players were right on top of him before one of his teammates told him to go down. And they tackled him in the end zone. We're talking about a safety and 2 more points for Youngstown State, but he officially downed it. The ball had not gone out of the end zone, so it was still a live ball until he makes a commitment of either going down or coming out of the end zone. So Chris Wright almost made a very drastic mistake here for Georgia Southern.
The officials conferring on the face mask penalty. Youngstown State, the only Division I AA team unbeaten in the regular season last year, but did lose to Central Florida in the first round of the playoffs, 20-17.
Boy, that shocked them last year, going 11-0 and really having everything going and losing on a field goal.
Face mask on the receiving team, refused.
So refusing the penalty, the ball will be marked at the 20-yard line on the touchback. And so the Eagles will begin offensively. Yet to score in the contest, and you'll remember against Central Florida, those of you who saw that game and were with us here in Statesboro, remember that the Eagles had a tough time scoring early. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that they put together the offense. Bostic hit hard right at the 24-yard line. Ron Brown met him there, but he picks up 3 yards.
Now you can see the redshirt freshman that time had been advised by his quarterback coaches, and certainly Tim Stowers saying, hey, don't get us in that same situation McGrady did. If you turn that corner, tuck that ball, make the contact, and let's get some yardage and forget about trying to do something fancy with it in a crowd. I tell you what, Bostic, this is going to show some kind of class with this youngster. He was dethroned as the starting quarterback, sit out last week, and now he's got an opportunity this week again.
Second down, 5. Eford He's hit hard right at the 27-yard line, picks up 3. It's going to be 3rd down and about 3.
Mike, a lot of folks that are watching over, obviously, in Youngstown know a great deal about Pat Danko, number 61, their nose tackle. But I tell you what, this young man at 6'1", 287 pounds, he's their leading tackler, the 3rd best tackler, should I say. He bench presses 400 pounds, an extremely strong young man, and he influences what happens in the middle of that defense for Youngstown.
Eagles trying to come up with something on 3rd down and 3. Bostic up to the 30-yard line. It's going to be close. Vecchion was there to make the stop, but he may be a yard short. It does appear to be short of the 30-yard line, and so it's a punting situation now for Don Norton, who's averaging 41 yards a punt. And you saw Coach Tressel fired up there on the sideline. He's feeling good about this Youngstown offense, as the Eagles' defense has been on the field a good portion of the first half. Norton with the punt. Fair catch called and taken at the 42-yard line. Ballinger decides to go with the fair catch, and so Youngstown State gets it back in good field position again. 8:05 to play in the first half. 9-0. We'll be back with more in a moment. The last time Georgia Southern lost in the month of November was 1985 versus James Madison. 24 straight wins for Georgia Southern during November, Thanksgiving month. And as you check out the fans who were involved in the game, Georgia Southern certainly a little bit in trouble here, trailing 9-0. 8 minutes, 5 seconds to go in the first half to a powerful Youngstown State team, and Hawkins picking up a couple of yards on 1st down.
I tell you, the reason you probably saw some of those folks sleeping down in the end zone is the fact that Georgia Southern has scored 17 consecutive points, or 17 points in each of their last 2 ball games in the 4th quarter. They're just waiting for the last 12 minutes. What can I tell you?
That's right. You know, some of the coaches and players are talking, we can't wait till the 4th quarter in this kind of a game. They're going to make the playoffs. 2nd down 8. Ray Isaac at quarterback. A handoff. Hawkins met right at the line of scrimmage. No room at all. Steve Busceletti was there.
Nice little cat and mouse game going by Isaacs and his wide receivers. They were more or less just bluffing a check off at the line of scrimmage. It was a running play all the way they had lined up in the one-back offense and brought the tight end in very close. But they were just kind of decoying, trying to spread out Georgia Southern a little bit to open up something in the middle. But that time Paul Carroll, didn't take the bluff, along with his teammates for Georgia Southern.
Youngstown State 2 of 6 on 3rd down conversions, facing a 3rd down and 7 at the 44. Isaac dumps it off, incomplete, underthrows the intended receiver, and so Youngstown State is going to have to punt. Let's go down to the sideline, an update from Jim.
I'm with a young man that should be familiar to both audiences watching this game today, Paul McFadden, who kicked for Youngstown State University and then the Atlanta Falcons, along with some other NFL ball clubs. Paul is now the radio sideline reporter for Youngstown State. What are you doing besides that these days, Paul?
Doing some grad work, going to grad school, and hanging around Youngstown. Can't get rid of me.
Any thoughts about trying to get back into the NFL and do some kicking?
No, I can't do it. I failed another physical in Detroit last year. My playing days are over. I'm on the sidelines now.
All right. Friendly competition, Paul McFadden.
Bucciarelli kicks it. Oglesby returning it across the 25 to the 26-yard line. So the Eagles get it back offensively, and again, a long way to move the ball. The specialty teams, primarily because of Youngstown's offense, has had good field position and have really not given the Eagles good field position here in the first half.
You know, Mike, you made a point that Jim Tressel across the way has seen the defense for Georgia Southern on the field a long time, and yes, it did bring a smile to his face, because the longer they play, his #1 key in this game was to establish some offense. Certainly the defense had given them a touchdown, but the offense has got a field goal, and they're in command at the moment in the first half.
Belser and Sorrell to the near side of the field. Eford gets the call, still on his feet. Ball is loose, and the Penguins have recovered at the 39, the 2nd turnover of the game. Ball stripped away from Eford.
Watch it again as Eford. He's got a big hole here on the inside. Both the linebackers on the inside overran it, and there's the strip from behind. Good job by Kevin Brown, number 89, to strip that ball clean. Eford not tucking it away, and in Youngstown all over it. And another big break again. Look at the dive from behind to knock the ball loose. Eford frantically trying to catch up with it along with the blue shirts of Georgia Southern, but they just don't get there.
Malcolm Everett comes up with the loose ball. The Eagles' second turnover of the game. Isaac wants something in a hurry, but he breaks away from the pressure, has some running room across the 40 to the 36-yard line. Isaac was looking long, didn't have the time, but was able to break away and pick up 5 yards.
Nickname may be the Colonel, but after this ball game and after that play, we may rechange it to Houdini here. Watches the support outside, inside. Very literally has him and going down. Isaac says, get out of my way, and here he comes. This is a slick-looking quarterback with some very quick feet.
Isaac with over 200 yards rushing this season. Second down, 7. Hawkins hit right at the line. Picks up a yard. We mentioned the importance of turnovers, and Georgia Southern certainly has done an outstanding job up until this game of doing well in the turnover margin. One of the top 20 teams, matter of fact, in turnover ratio this year.
They came in as a plus 12, which again, as I indicated, is a very good number. Plus 15 to 20 is excellent.
Third down, 5. Isaac on the option. And he'll go down at the 29. Shane Maxwell made the defensive play. It's going to be 4th down and 2.
You know, Shane Maxwell's had a couple of great games. 16 tackles against Eastern Kentucky. Unfortunately, a loss for Georgia Southern. He came in with 17 tackles against Central Florida last week. Another great game for Shane Maxwell, 6'4", 204, inside linebacker, number 44, a good one for him.
Jeff Wilkins in to attempt a 49-yard field goal. His longest this year was 46.
Got the wind behind him a bit.
As the distance, it's good. Wow. Jeff Wilkins from 48 yards out hits his second field goal of the game, and Youngstown State has put its offensive team back on the field after a couple of sluggish weeks. 12-0 lead for the Penguins. 4:15 now to play in the first half.
Some of these fans are trying to figure out which way to wear the rally hat now, because it's definitely uphill for Georgia Southern. And right now, Jim Tressel has got to be excited. A young man who's won the Ohio College Coach of the Year award the last 2 seasons, taking his Penguins into the Division I AA championships the last 2 years. Very disappointing last year, as we pointed out. He lost to Central Florida, but these are the kind of things that certainly could keep him in the football chase. They're coming in 4-3, and the reaction from Wilkins, and yeah, it's there.
Wilkins from 48 yards out, his longest field goal of the year. Earlier the season he had a 46-yard field goal, but this one of 48 makes it 12-0 Youngstown State.
Had a field goal that hit the crossbar from 45 against Liberty 2 weeks ago. Ouch.
Wilkins kicking off. Chris Wright waiting for it. At the goal line, comes out 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, still on his feet across the 35 to the 37. So Chris Wright does a good job for the Eagles, giving them much better field position near the 40-yard line.
I tell you what, you can watch a long pass, you can watch a long run from the line of scrimmage, but nothing is much prettier than a great return. Look at the wall up the far sideline. Chris Wright read it beautifully, just keeps running up the slot and makes a great run and gives them excellent field position against the Penguins defense.
First down 10, 4:07 to play in the first half. Bostic complete, 40-yard line. Don Hudson has the first down up to the 39.
Hudson and Hopkins both are threats coming out of the backfield, even though they don't throw to him that much. But Bostic, again, dethroned as a starting quarterback. How about that tight spiral? And nobody there as the linebackers are dropping too slow. and don't get back there in time, and they make a big reception, and Hudson has a first down.
And it's the first pass completion for the Eagles in the contest with less than 4 minutes now to play in the first half.
That, by the way, was Ron Brown making that tackle, number 1 in tackles with 66 so far this year.
Up the middle, Eford hit right at the line of scrimmage, no gain. It'll be second down 10. Look at the Youngstown State scoring drive. 4 plays, only moved the ball 8 yards, but Wilkins had the 48-yard field goal to make it a 12-0 lead for the Penguins from Ohio. The first time Georgia Southern has ever played a team from Ohio. Second down. Bostic over the middle, complete, 25 up to the 22. Terrence Sorrell makes his first grab of the day.
Well, that time the protection was there just long enough for Charlie Bostic, who stood back in the pocket. Pat Danko, number 61, finally gives him a shove that puts him down on his tailbone, but not before Bostic lets it fly. Sorrell, a receiver they've been trying to find all day long, and he gets inside the crease behind the linebackers and just inside the safeties, and a big pass play there for Georgia Southern.
Bostic now 2 of 2 passing for 41 yards, keeps on the option across the 20 up to the 17. So Bostic has come in to ignite this Eagle offense with a couple of crisp passes, and that can make up a difference quickly.
It can indeed, and you got to give this kid a lot of credit. Again, he comes off, goes to the sideline, and of course McGrady comes on, wins a game for him at James Madison, rallies the club to beat Central Florida, now makes another start today. He's sidelined, and Bostic gets his shot, and the freshman, taking advantage of it right now.
Second down. Bostic again on the option, pitching back. Hopkins. He's out of bounds at the 12. Close to another first down. Darrell Hopkins, the senior from Bishop, Georgia, trying to get this crowd involved. It is enough for the first down, so the Eagles pick up the first as Chuck McClurg, number 89, goes in the lineup now for the Eagles, and he will split out to the near side of the field. First down 10 as you look from the line judge perspective. Eford, he's hit right at the line. Kevin Brown, number 89, on the tackle.
Kevin Brown, quite a story, number 89 for Youngstown State. He had a arthroscopic surgery on his knee after the Akron Bowl game, and that's only been about 2.5 weeks ago. A National Honor Society student in high school, a 4-year starter, 6'2", 248. He's in there, number 89, and anchoring that linebacker core now for Youngstown State.
Orlando Ficklin in the lineup for Eford at fullback. Darrell Belsler has come in for Chuck McClurg. And the Eagles, actually an official timeout.
Mike, looking at Georgia Southern and getting their play calling in, they were trying to run it in and out with wide receivers for McGrady last week, and I indicated early on that created some delay and also some motion problems. They were trying to get things off in such a hurry. This time Bostic a little bit more familiar with what they want to do since he started most of the year, and now they're running it back in and forth from the wide receivers, but Bostic is picking it up a little quicker than McGrady had.
Second down. Bostic on the draw play, and it's picked up by the Penguins. The Eagles turn it over for the 3rd time in the first half. Brett Greer comes up with the loose ball.
This time it is Bostic coming back. A little delayed draw that time, and I don't think Eford really ever had it. Went run off his thigh pad. A good alert defense by Youngstown has kind of staved off Georgia Southern in what looked like to be their best drive, and certainly a possibility of a scoring drive here today.
Brett Greer out of Youngstown, Ohio, his senior season, turns the Eagles away on the fumble recovery. And remember the keys to the game, turnovers.
Yeah, unfortunately, Youngstown trying to avoid them, and Georgia Southern has caught them today.
Herb Williams in the lineup to the near side of the field as Isaac trying to run the option is caught behind the line. Number 47, Nick Davis, was there to make the tackle.
Paul Sickley, Shane Maxwell, and Nick Davis. I don't think you'll find three better linebackers, particularly at this level of college football, and certainly Nick Davis, the number 3 tackler with 57, Maxwell number 1 with 84, and Sickley the number 2 tackler at 78. But the good pursuit that time by Nick Davis, who had 6 tackles against Central Florida, and you can see, I think he's a little bit happy with his effort so far.
Georgia Southern calling a timeout, trying to maybe get the ball back with 1:26 to play in the first half. And there's a shot of Nick Davis. Had 6 tackles last Saturday, averaging about 6 a game now for the season. Coach Jim Tressel in his 6th season, 38-28 overall, 11-1 last year.
You know, Mike, the years he spent at Ohio State under Earl Bruce, they went to 3 bowl appearances. He was the backfield coach from 83 to 85 before getting the Youngstown job. That had been preceded by a stint under Dick McPherson, now the coach for New England. He was at Syracuse, quarterback and receiver coach for a couple of seasons, so he's worked under some pretty good ones and has been well tutored and well trained. He actually got most of his training under his own father, Dr. Lee Tressel, at Baldwin Wallace College. 155 wins, 52 losses, and 6 ties for Dr. Tressel, and of course the father of Jim Tressel, the coach of Youngstown.
1:26 to play in the first half. Second down. Law up the middle. No room for Smith. Michael Berry was in there. And the Eagles will take their second timeout.
An interesting story, excuse me, Mike, on Georgia Southern and the fact that Dr. Paul Spurgeon, who is the kicking coach and a gentleman who puts down the scouting report, kind of comes to this ball club every Monday, gives them a scouting report on the opponents. But this time he came to them at the start of the week, which was obviously in October, but knowing they'd play their first game in November today. Just remind them they hadn't lost since 85, had won 24 in a row in the month of November, and says, fellas, the frost is on the pumpkin, which simply means that November belongs to them and they've got to play. And I think the defense has just now got the message, now down 12-0 in the game.
Minute 20 to go in the first half. You want to stay with us at halftime. Jim Campbell will have a halftime report for us, including an interview with Georgia Southern's athletic director, Bucky Wagner. That's coming up at halftime. And much more. Hope you'll stay with us. Youngstown State leading 12-0. Look at the rushing yards and the comparison. Over 130 yards for Youngstown State as Hawkins breaks the tackle up to the 23. It'll be 4th down and 1 as the clock stops with 1:12 to play in the first half, and the Eagles take the timeout. So Georgia Southern would like to block a punt here.
Well, a good hole and running right through it. Leo Hawkins sprints to the outside. You see the linebackers in pursuit, and it finally takes the coverage of Mark Giles for one to come over and make the stop, Mutimer the other. But again, they broke it into the secondary, and had they not lost that yardage and the good player made earlier by Davis, that would have been an easy first down and possession of the ball for Youngstown. They, by the way, will be punting, and that wind continues to buffet from behind. As you take a look at it down the field, it's starting to turn, and it is a good size wind that they'll be enjoying in this punt, I'm sure.
Both teams going to the sideline to talk with their coaches during the timeout. Rodney Oglesby will drop back for the Eagles at midfield. Larry Bucciarelli, the punter, but remember, Georgia Southern has blocked 7 punts this year, 2 away from a national 1AA record. Bucciarelli is going to feel the pressure here. Eagles have the ball at the 12-yard line with 1:06 to play in the first half. Maurice Reed blocks the punt, recovers it for the Eagles.
Well, you knew it was coming. Now watch as the punter here, Bucciarelli, takes 2, almost 3.5 steps, and that gave them plenty of time. As Reed right in on top of it again, he falls on it. His knee is down, or he could have advanced it, but he's down right there, and a major break for Georgia Southern. They used up all their timeouts, but they still have time with 1:06 here.
And there it is again, the freshman from Albany, Georgia making the big play. Bostic on first down has no room, and remember the Eagles have no timeouts left. The clock running with 58 seconds to play here in the first half, and the clock will continue to roll on second down. Bostic looking to throw. Penalty marker goes down, and they'll stop play there. 42 seconds to go in the first half.
You know, Mike, it's interesting. They have a 7th official. Normally there are 6 officials working Division I AA football. They have added a 7th official in this game today, as a procedure call is going to be called against Georgia Southern, the Boogaboo of last year. And there you see number 64 just moving on the line of scrimmage. And that cost him there as James Baker moving prematurely, couldn't get back down, and that's why they called it.
Start on the offense. We'll repeat the down, second down.
Actually, a little bit of a break in the fact that the clock stopped after the procedure penalty was called.
Second down, 15, 42 seconds to play in the first half. The Eagles desperately trying to do something here. Bostic, plenty of time. Nowhere, goes down at the 20. Clock rolls at 26 seconds. It's going to be third down. Final seconds of the half. Belser in the lineup. Bostic looking, complete, incomplete. Hudson had his hands on it but dropped it.
Youngstown State just trying to keep everything in front of them. They're almost in a inside the 20 prevent defense. By the way, on the previous play, the intended receiver was Sorrell, and great coverage by Reggie Brown. And this one again, you see Youngstown State is letting the receivers catch the ball inside that 10 or 15 yard area, but they've got 4 people between the goal line and the man here.
David Kuhl in the lineup to attempt the 37-yard field goal. He's 9 of 11 this year. It's good. So after Reed's second punt block this year, the Eagles get in great field position, and while unable to come up with a touchdown, at least put some points on the scoreboard. 3 seconds left now in the first half, and Youngstown State leading 12-3.
I think when they go back, referring to Georgia Southern, and kind of take a look at the film of that last little series. Now keep in mind, Bostic has not been working as the #1 quarterback for about the last 2 weeks. They've been working with McGrady. Bostic has been getting his time, but the 2-minute offense there was just not in sync. There was not a lot of continuity going on, and Bostic was having a little trouble in checking off at the line of scrimmage and also getting the plays he wanted to run. And you have to give credit to Youngstown. Their defense just kind of laid their ears back and were coming at him hard, trying to prevent them from making any kind of big play at that stage of the game.
David Kuhl, of course, will kick off, and he is ranked 13th in 1AA field goal kicking with an 82% accuracy. His longest 53 yards, and he's now hit 8 straight field goals. So indeed he may be the factor at the end of the game. Dave Roberts, Malcolm Everett waiting for the kick. Taken at the 5-yard line. Roberts 15, 20, 25. And he'll be stopped right at the 28-yard line, which will officially end the first half after they unpile. So as the Eagles head to the locker room, trailing here at halftime 12-3 to Youngstown State, and the Eagles moving into the top 20, tied for the 20th spot. And we'll have to wait on our official here just a moment to make sure it's officially over here in the first half after some confusion.
We had offsides on the kicking team, decline. That's the half.
Could not be more clear than that.
Thank you very much. You know, Mike, the interesting part of this first half is that the decision made by Georgia Southern to give Youngstown the football, and they promptly marched it almost the length of the floor and got the 3 points out of it. And then now it turns around that Georgia Southern will have an opportunity to get it to start the third period, and we'll find out how that strategy will work as well.
We'll be going down to Jim Campbell in just a moment. He'll be trying to get a word or two from Jim Tressel, and certainly he has to be pleased with his team's effort, especially defensively. Let's go down to Jim.
Coach, except for what Georgia Southern does so well with the kick block, a pretty good first half for the Penguins.
Well, the kids on defense are playing hard, and they made the big play on the touchdown. And offensively, we're doing some good things, but we got to get in the end zone.
Impact of their change at quarterback, does it change what you have to do defensively?
No, they run the same scheme. It's the Georgia Southern scheme, and the strength of their team is the way they play in the second half. We've said that all week, so the key is going to be this half of football.
And quickly, offensively, are you seeing progress after a couple of slow weeks?
Well, I think we're moving the ball decent, but we need to move it into the end zone. We won't win with 12 points.
Okay. Penguins head coach Jim Tressel will have Georgia Southern head coach Tim Stowers later in halftime. Now back up to the booth.
Okay, thank you, Jim. We'll take a break. It's halftime in Statesboro, Georgia, and Youngstown State leads Georgia Southern 12-3. Mike Tilley and Sam Smith back with you at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia, and the homestanding Eagles trail 12-3 here at Paulson Stadium, and not a great offensive effort in the first half, struggling a bit against this talented and very tough Youngstown State defense, but at the same time came up with the big play there toward the end of the first half. And Sam, it has been somewhat of a big play type of game here in the first.
Well, it has. We made mention quite obviously that both ball clubs are looking for big plays from their special teams, but Georgia Southern realized that they were going to get some good play out of their defense. I think Youngstown has pretty well diagnosed what they needed to do against this defense, and I think they've had a very good offensive first half, despite what Jim Tressel is saying in the dressing room they need to improve. I think they've been more than adequate to kind of keep themselves in the game. Yes, they probably will need more than 12 points. The other side of the coin, I think it's a big surprise Youngstown's defense has really done as well against this option for Georgia Southern. Certainly McGrady got himself into trouble. Bostic has come in to try to bail him out. But right now, that defense of Youngstown, with the score, and, of course, the 3 kicks to amount for all of the scoring here in the first half, the big highlight had to be that almost interception of the pitch and the run for the touchdown. And it's been the defense for Youngstown that's won it.
Well, here's a look at that interception, or actually taking away the pitch. McGrady with the ball, and he gets it stripped or taken away by Reggie Brown.
Well, it was an ill-advised pitch, and I'm sure McGrady's going to have to live with that. And, of course, Reggie Brown, once he catches the ball at 4.6 speed in the open field, nobody was going to catch him, primarily because there was nobody back there. The pitch man was already knocked down, and Brown was wide open. That was one of the key plays. Now, Georgia Southern realizes they can go into the dressing room down 12-0 unless they make something happen. They took 3 timeouts to preserve the clock. They had trouble getting anything going on their own, but now, after Youngstown gets the ball, here again, that 3.5-step kick, and it gives them an opportunity. Reed makes the block, and as his knee does not go down in scooping up the ball, he could have run this one in, but right there, he's going to go down, literally all the way down, and that's where they get it, setting up the David Kuhl field goal. It's not much. They're down 12-3, matching their lowest points in the first half against Central Florida last week. But it is a positive note, Mike, to go into the dressing room at least down 12-3 and not down 12-0.
Reed with his second block of the year. Georgia Southern has now blocked 8 punts this season, 1 away from tying an NCAA record. 12-3, our halftime score. More in a minute.
Well, we've got just the kind of ball game you'd expect between 2 playoff contenders. Youngstown State, however, maybe surprisingly to some folks, leading defending national champion Georgia Southern 12-3 here at halftime. You know, a lot of folks in this part of the country don't know much about Youngstown State University. Well, you're about to find out a little bit more about the home of the Penguins. Back here at halftime to talk with 2 gentlemen who will have an integral part in the staging of the Division I AA National Championship game here in December. Bucky Wagner, the athletic director here at Georgia Southern, and a guy who was a big part of one of Georgia Southern's previous national championships, Mike Dowis. Bucky, first of all, as far as today goes, the Ohio connection is nothing new to you.
Well, I've played against Youngstown State as a player, and I'm from Ohio, and we appreciate having all the Buckeyes down here today.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the planning for the national championship event. Where are you at right now?
Well, right now we're preparing our bid for the next 3 years, and we're soliciting pledges from people across South Georgia to keep the game here in Statesboro. And we'll get those together. In 1st of December, we'll prepare a bid to keep the game here. This is really the biggest sporting event next to the Masters in South Georgia, and CBS will be here again this year televising it, and we're excited about having it here. We're excited about keeping it here.
What's going on now in the planning process? I know you got something called the YES program set up for this year.
Well, we have a new it's not new to the NCAA, it's new to this game, but the Yes Clinic is an opportunity for 500 youth, 14 and under, to come to Statesboro the day of the game, in that morning. And what they will do, the NCAA will bring in 14 of the best 1AA coaches in America, head coaches, and they will work with those young men on their fundamental skills. They'll talk about drug education. They'll talk about some other areas of life and in how to live as an athlete. But it should be just a tremendous time for the young men and have an opportunity to come down and be associated with those 14 coaches. This is funded by the corporate sponsorship program of the NCAA. It's free to the participants. They get a ticket to the game, and it's a wonderful thing. If they need to contact Frank Elwood at Georgia Southern if they want their son to come to the clinic.
Okay, I know in the event that Youngstown State isn't playing in the national championship game, head coach Jim Tressel will be part of that group. Mike Dallas, Mike, you kicked, I understand, a field goal here to win a national championship. Now you're involved in the planning process. What's your role and what's going on?
Well, I'm just kind of in charge of getting this year's game together. One thing we're trying to do this year that is new is we're going to provide a patrons package to some very select group of people. We're trying to get some companies to come in with us and give us some support for the game, and in return we're going to give them something. It's not going to be a two-way street. We're going to provide them with some advertising opportunities and the opportunities to do some things for their clients or their employees, whichever way they see fit to do it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. That's what's happening with the national championship game that'll be coming up here in December. We've got a half of football left here this afternoon. We'll have more halftime action coming up for you right after this.
Youngstown State with a 9-point lead over Georgia Southern here at halftime at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. And we don't have to tell you how well the Eagles have done here traditionally through the years, an outstanding record at home. But here's a look at the halftime statistics in this game.
One of the keys, Mike, they wanted to do for Youngstown was establish a running game. They've done that, 150 yards, 157 for the half, only 102, and only 61 on the ground for the Eagles. And another interesting statistic on that is the time of possession. Youngstown hasn't over-dominated the first half, but do have the 12-3 lead so far here in the first half of the game.
Jim Campbell is standing by with Tim Stowers. Let's go to the field. Jim?
Coach, first of all, being behind at halftime is nothing new to you. You still got to feel solid.
Well, I really don't feel very comfortable in this situation time after time. Seems like our kids have to get woken up a little bit before we actually start playing. We're not doing a very good job of moving the football on offense. I think Youngstown has a lot to do with that. You know, Coach Tressel's doing a super job with them, and we're going to have to get the ball in the end zone in the second half to win.
What about the impact of the punt block at the end, either emotionally or in terms of the flow of the game?
Well, I think I knew it was important that we needed to get points on the board, and we got some. We needed a touchdown bad, but we used up all our timeouts in the previous series, and it worked out right, so we got some points. So we got a little bit of momentum. Let's just see. We're going to get the ball right here, and it's very important that we take the ball down and score in this possession.
Last question, anything that Youngstown State has shown that surprised you at all?
No, they're a very simple football team. Really nothing really different, especially from their defense. They might have a new wrinkle or so on offense, but really they're just doing a good job of moving the football.
All right, Coach, good luck in the second half. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Tim Stowers, head coach at Georgia Southern. Now back up to Sam and Mike in the booth.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And interesting, Coach is saying he's not seen anything unusual or new. It's just a matter of getting his team woken up here in the second half.
Well, I think it's a situation where the running game of Youngstown State might have surprised them off the bat. They made some good adjustments after that first long drive. You know, a guy intercepts a pitch out, goes for a touchdown. You get a couple of solid field goals from Wilkins. And Youngstown State wants to come out and just do pretty much what they did in the first half, and that's just to play hard. The other side of the coin, I think Georgia Southern, if they're going to hope to repeat as the national champions, have got to come back and win the line of scrimmage. Now, that's on offense. They've got to make something happen to get the running backs on the outside, get Eford in the middle. By the same token, on the defense, they must put pressure on Isaacs. He's a very, very good veteran quarterback, and he does make things happen for Youngstown if you give him time. If you don't put any pressure down the line of scrimmage, he can hurt you. So those are two keys for Georgia Southern, and just keep on keeping on for Youngstown as we get ready for the third quarter, Mike.
Youngstown doing a good job moving it on the ground. 71 yards for Smith on 11 carries, 48 for Hawkins. And Youngstown State certainly, even on that opening drive, moving the ball 75 yards to begin the game, had to settle for the field goal. Remember, Georgia Southern won the toss, deferred to the second half, and so will receive to begin the second half. And Georgia Southern's home fans trying to get and cheerleaders trying to get this crowd into the game.
By the way, Georgia Southern not allowing a point in the second half of the last 4 ball games, so we'll find out if that holds up.
Chris Wright in the end zone will take the touchback. So the Eagles will begin at the 20-yard line as Coach Tim Stowers paces the sideline, hoping his offense and as well Eford can do something on the ground. Eford's been held to 15 yards as Charles Bostic comes back in at quarterback.
While the offenses and defenses get set, and we have apparently a flag down somewhere on the field. Let me give you a couple of quick updates. New Hampshire, number 8 in the country, leading Boston University 7-0. And Furman, number 13, leads East Tennessee State, but it's a good one, 17-14. And I believe that's it for our Division I AA teams that are still in the playoff picture as they play here this afternoon. By the way, Appalachian State playing the Citadel. App State, if they win this afternoon, would clinch the Southern Conference and an automatic bid into the playoffs.
The officials, as the coaches look on, still discussing the penalty on the specialty teams. There's a look at Charles Bostic, the 6-foot freshman from Thomasville, Georgia.
Holding on the receiving team, refused. First down.
So rather than re-kick it, it's marked at the 20, and the Eagles begin offensively, trailing 12-3. Bostic carried the ball for 8 yards, 2 of 3 passing, 41 yards passing. Bostic pitches back. Hudson gets to the 22. And he's not getting up.
Tell you what, one of the guys, they call him the Warrior, it's Brian Coleman, 5'9", 199. A junior really gave him a shot as he tried to turn that corner. Hudson took the pitch in stride, but I mean, tell you, Coleman coming from the outside really belted him one, a real scrapper. And again, you take a look at Hudson is down. And he's not moving very well right now. You know, an interesting point is that only 15 yards rushing for Eford after 142 last week. That's another key for Georgia Southern here.
As the trainers work on Don Hudson, will take a timeout. Just underway here in the second half, 12-3. So Don Hudson on the sideline, the leading rusher in the game so far for Georgia Southern with just 21 yards. But he's on the sideline now after the injury. And Orlando Ficklin is in to replace him as the Eagles face 2nd down and 8 as we're just underway here in the second half. Bostic having to scramble, pulls away, and now will go down at the 23. So he picks up about a yard. It'll be 3rd down 7.
The real problem with that play, Mike, was the fact that when Bostic was back in the pocket, it was in pretty good shape. They were setting up to throw the ball long rather than having a release valve somewhere underneath. He still had to look long, and none of that opened up. Good secondary coverage by Youngstown, and Bostic literally had to try to scramble for his life.
There's a look at the sideline, the work on Don Hudson, the junior from Warner Robins, Georgia. 3rd down 8. Bostic looking long. Willis is there, and he may have been bumped, but no flag.
That would have probably been a flag, and then comes the discretion of the officials. Was the ball catchable? It was not catchable. Way out of bounds. If indeed there was an infraction on Youngstown, that would have been the discussion. More than likely the flag would have been picked up. You see the contact before the ball ever reaches the intended receiver. In this case, number 1, Willis. But again, the contact was made, but it was not catchable.
Georgia Southern 0 of 6 now in 3rd down conversions as Roberts takes the fair catch at the 45-yard line. There's timeout on the field, 13:40 to play in the 3rd quarter. It's still 12-3 Youngstown State. Just under 17,000 fans in Statesboro, Georgia to see Youngstown State and 20th rated Georgia Southern go head-to-head for the first time in college football, as Ray Isaac now with 1 interception of the game, just 1 of 6 passing, but has moved the offense well on the ground. Hawkins this time gets the crawl across midfield across the 45 now for what will be the 1st down.
You know, it's interesting when I talked to Jim Trussell, he was talking about Smith being out, but Hawkins was a quality back. Hawkins is really good. Jim Campbell down on the sideline has something on an injury update. Jim?
Well, just Just thought Georgia Southern fans might be interested in an update on the injury to Hudson. Actually, it's an aggravation of an old injury. You saw him doing the heavy tape job. He will be available to return.
Okay, and the Eagles' number 56, Michael Berry, is coming to the sideline now near midfield. Looks like he may have hurt his knee on the play. Maybe his ankle. Michael Morris is in now for him. First down, 10, 45-yard line for the Penguins. Off right side across the 40, Smith. Now that Eagle defense powers back. Smith gets 8 yards on the carry.
Youngstown's offense has a lot of weapons, particularly when you run Hawkins and Smith together, both with very good quickness and speed. They had expected to start a freshman by the name of Ryan Wood, who is a converted linebacker at fullback, and let either Smith or Hawkins run behind him. But they've elected to go ahead and split the two backs, run out of a two-back offense, and so far going left and right. Number 22 and number 25, Hawkins and Smith, have really paid big dividends today for the Penguins.
Hawkins, 13 rushes for 58 yards. Smith has carried it 12 times for 78 yards in the game so far. And Smith gets the call again across the 35. Has the first down. Paul Sickley was there to make the stop.
Mike, it just gets back to one thing I said, that Youngstown State owns the line of scrimmage. Georgia Southern, if they hope to come back and win this football game, as they've come back so many times now, they've just got to get control of the line of scrimmage, and they don't have it at the moment.
Georgia Southern with 2 straight playoff berths. Have won 24 of the last 32 games they have played, while Georgia Southern, of course, has won 41 of the last 48. So 2 strong teams over the last couple of years. Isaac keeping, 25, 20, 15, 5, touchdown. 34-yard touchdown run for Ray Isaac. He kept on the option. And it's now another touchdown for Youngstown, 18-3.
I hearken back to what Tim Stowers said just at the end, the start of this quarter. They don't do anything fancy. I mean, there was nothing fancy about Ray Isaac just sticking the ball out. Jim Munimer, who was supporting on the corner, took the fake on the pitch, and Isaac, with everybody doing their job downfield and blocking away, had nothing to do but just step in for a big score for Youngstown State.
And now Jeff Wilkins, the sophomore from Austintown, Ohio, is in to attempt the extra point. Remember, they had a bad snap, holder problem on the last PAT. This one's down good and up. Perfect.
Point after by Wilkins is good.
So Youngstown comes up with the big play. Over 30 yards on the option keeper by quarterback Ray Isaac. And it's now 19-3. Just underway in the third quarter. Georgia Southern had not allowed any second half points in the last 4 games, but Youngstown State does it and builds the lead to 19-3. Sideline looking happy, and there's Ray Isaac. He ran for 33 yards on the keeper. Wilkins kicking off. Chris Wright will not bring it out of the end zone this time. Good sign for the Eagles. Number 41, Don Hudson, is back in the lineup now after the injury. But let's watch the run by Isaac again.
That time Ryan Wood was in at a fullback. He had knocked down and got on the inside of the linebackers, and Isaac just carries that loaf of bread right into the end zone. For Youngstown State, never literally touched throughout the whole play for 34 yards in the tee. Big play for Youngstown State. I tell you what, if Georgia Southern's to come back for this one, this is going to have to be called a major miracle now, the way Youngstown is playing this football game.
Isaac's 3rd rushing touchdown of the year. So Charles Bostic will try to do something with this Eagle offense. No room that time for Eford, who's been held under 25 yards in the first 2.5 quarters.
You know, Georgia Southern's going to have to try to look after this scoring drive, only 4 plays and 55 yards, and Isaac with a big play of 33 yards. Georgia Southern's going to have to kind of figure out something, little dump-in passes, little look-ins, just over the linebackers who aren't that good at dropping. Ron Brown, you may recall, dropped very slowly, so they may look for something short on the passing game if and when they look for that. And here it is.
Bostic incomplete, tried to dump it off to Eford. But you're exactly right. Bostic did a great job in the second quarter moving the team through the air, had a couple of big pass plays.
That was a good defensive play by Youngstown State, but the play was actually designed to come to the outside to Darrell Belser, who was running up the left sideline. I think Eford, along with the defender, just got in the way.
So Georgia Southern gets set for 3rd down and 8, and the Eagles are 0 for 6 on 3rd down conversions in the game, averaging 33% on 3rd down conversions this season. Bostic looking, and it's incomplete. Intended for Willis, and Dave Roberts almost came up with it. So the Eagles are going to have to punt.
And they'll have to punt into this wind, Mike, which is still gusting about 20 miles per hour right in the face of Don Norton. So Youngstown's going to get still another opportunity with good field position.
Coach Tressel pacing the sideline as Don Norton averaging 38 yards per punt this afternoon. Hits at the 50-yard line.
Great bounce.
Ballinger lets it roll to the 30. So with the bounce, a nice punt. And that's where Youngstown State will begin, right at the 35-yard line. 11-12 now to play in the 3rd quarter. We'll take a timeout. 19-3 our score. Youngstown State rated number 23 in Division I AA with 31 points per game average this year, and although struggling against Liberty, scoring just 8 2 weeks ago, the Penguins have 19 here in the 3rd quarter to lead the Eagles. And right up the middle for Smith. He's hit hard. Shane Maxwell was there along with Michael Berry. Couple of yard gain. Will be 2nd down 8.
Well, I tell you what, center Chad Roscoe, a 5th-year senior, 6 foot 252, number 51 for Youngstown, firing off that line of scrimmage. Gerber and Curtiz, the 2 guards, doing equally good job. They just own that center of that line right now for Youngstown.
Up the middle again, Hawkins. He's hit hard right at the line. Nick Davis getting pumped up for the Eagles.
Well, he is, and the fact that time they said, well, let's try to take that away. They lined up all 3 of their linebackers within about 5 yards of each other, just literally challenging Youngstown to take the ball outside, and they didn't. There you see the good pursuit from the outside in, and then getting some help from the backside, but great coverage that time by Nick Davis.
Youngstown 2 of 9 on 3rd down conversions, facing a 3rd down and 7. Isaac wants to throw. Incomplete. Almost picked off. Maxwell had his hands on it. But the good news for the Eagles is that the Penguins will punt.
And the big play of that one, Maxwell was the one that almost came with the intercept, but a guy by the name of Alex Mash, getting better literally every play, made the pressure in the pursuit that time on Isaacs and forcing him to pass it on the double pump a little bit quicker than he wanted to.
Oglesby waiting back at the 26-yard line. Remember, he had a 51-yard punt return for a touchdown last week. Butcherelli to punt. He had one block in the first half.
It's time for us to do.
He gets it off. Oglesby will run. Reverse. And down right at the 26-yard line, Sean Austin took it on the reverse, but actually lost a couple of yards.
It's one of those plays, Mike, that you're frantically kind of grasping to try to make something happen. Yes, you work on something like this. You hope that Youngstown was not prepared, but apparently their scouts were. And they're just looking, are the Eagles right now, Georgia Southern, to try to get something going, and they have not, literally on the offense, be able to find anything that works. 0 for 8 on 3rd down conversions today.
9 minutes, 42 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Youngstown leading 19-3. Bostic looking for something over the middle. Complete at the 46-yard line. Terrence Sorrell with his 2nd catch of the day.
See, Mike, there's that little zone area. Once again, the linebackers are so content in trying to stop Eford that they're not looking on the deep drops as well. That time Sorrell had faked on a run up the field and just doubled right inside the 2 deep safety people. And Bostic stood in the pocket and made a perfect strike, and that's what they certainly need in this 3rd quarter.
Well, Youngstown's secondary has come a long way over the last couple of years, allowing over 4,000 2 years ago, 3,500 last year. Belser maybe a 2-yard gain. It'll be 2nd down 8.
Kind of a nifty little pitch that time. Youngstown, again, good support. Their linemen, their down linemen in particular, Greer, Danko, and Vecchion are doing a good job in controlling the line of scrimmage. In that time, they were the people that literally just got in the way after that little short pitch.
Second down 10. Hudson was in motion. Pass complete to Sorrell. He picks up 2 yards to the 48, so it'll be 3rd down and 8, and the Eagles looking for their first 3rd down conversion.
One of the reasons that did not work is the fact the football had to carry so far. Again, the football was almost squarely in the middle of the football field. And as the quarterback, Bostic, had to throw that ball at least about 25 yards to get to Sorrell, there was no blocking help over there as they detoured the run coming to the opposite side of the field.
3rd down long. Bostic in trouble, goes down at the 44. Youngstown's defense does it again.
Just a matter of time until that wall breaks down, and that's that guy Greer again. Bostic again coming. He's looking to the near sideline to Belster. That was covered. He went back to the far side looking for Sorrell, and again, finally, Bert Greer with that great 4.6 speed he has caught up from behind.
Norton to punt. Andre Ballinger waiting for it. 13-yard line. Right up to the 20. He was hit hard, and a late penalty marker goes down. Number 48, Mel McBride, made the good hit. We'll have to wait on the penalty marker.
I think that may go against Youngstown for holding back. I agree. I thought that Georgia Southern piled in a little late. But Youngstown, I think, was the discretion on the other side. Was a clip. You'll watch it right in the top half of your screen. It happens right at the very top. Right there is where a clip is going to happen. And then the big hit.
Receiving team, 1st down.
So Norton's 42-yard punt aided by the clipping penalty. The ball marked at the 9-yard line for Youngstown State. So the Eagles get a break with the specialty teams play. And now the defense will have to hold. Youngstown penalized for 32 yards. Just 1 penalty against the Eagles in the contest. 7.5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Isaac, handoff, hit right at the line of scrimmage. Ronald Johnson was there. Late penalty marker.
There's a lot of mouthing going on right now between these two ball clubs, Georgia Southern and Youngstown. It's happening on both sides of the ball. At that time, Shane Maxwell right in the middle of it again, got a shove and is going to get a foul call on Youngstown.
Personal foul against the Penguins. That'll move it back half the distance to the goal.
Dead ball, personal foul, offense.
So the ball now at the 6-yard line. It'll be 2nd down, 14.
Some folks still waiting for the 4th quarter, Mike.
I know Coach Stowers is hoping their 4th quarter excitement happens now.
He hopes it's not as big an uphill fight as it is right now.
2nd down, 14. Isaac, hands off. Smith across the 10, 15, up to the 19. It'll be 3rd down, 1.
Good blocking in front of the ball that time as they brought in Jamie Willis, 6'5", 277, number 94. Watch as he blocks on the outside. See how he seals down? And then Smith does the rest as he just runs by that block. Broke a tackle and broke a good one, but not enough for the 1st down here. Or is it? They'll have to measure here, Mike.
They are bringing the chains back onto the field. It is enough.
My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Doggone it.
Just enough.
Good job by Youngstown State. This is a key drive for them because with this lead at 19-3, pinned deep in their own territory and taking a couple of fouls, in the fact they clipped and then got the personal foul, and now they're able to move it out. At least have some room out of the shot of their own goalpost. And they have the wind at their back, and they've got a lot of time to use it here in this quarter.
Herb Williams, number 24, coming back in the lineup, the junior from Ohio. Explosive open field runner.
You know, Mike, even to the point of getting into a field goal range and adding 3 more to that score.
First down 10. The handoff. Hawkins behind the line loses a yard.
That was just a mess up between the quarterback and the running back, but guess why it was a mess up? Watch number 99. That's Alex Mash. Certainly they had a collision right there, but watch Mash. See, he's got 2 guys trying to keep him from doing anything with the ball, and then a host of the blue shirts coming in for Georgia Southern. But Alex Mash, he's 6'2", 243 pounds, and he's a pest right now for Youngstown State.
Isaacs facing a second down 11. On the option. Keeping it across the 20. 25 has the first down and out of bounds at the 31. He knew where the first down marker was and he went for it.
There's a sharp-looking quarterback. Again, has won 24 out of the 32 games. He's been a starter for the Penguins, and it's just basic football. Mutimar on the outside. Watch number 42 as he watches for the pitch man, which in this case happens to be Hawkins, and then they don't get the pursuit from the inside. Finally do, and Isaacs, as Mike pointed out, knew where he had to get to and goes out of bounds.
Isaac now has rushed 10 times for 77 yards. First down 10, 31-yard line. You can check out the first downs today. 12 for the Penguins. No running room for Ryan Wood that time. It's going to be second down. 10. There's a look at McGrady again on the sideline warming up.
You kind of get the impression that McGrady, warming up that throwing arm, knows that he's going to have to start chucking if indeed he does come in, replacing Bostic.
Second down, 10, 31-yard line, 5:02 to play in the third quarter. The handoff to Hawkins, 35, still powering, 40, has the first down at the 43.
Highlight film material there as again Hawkins, Leo averaging well over 5 to 6, 7 yards per carry and gets more than that with a great run. Spinning like a top, and nobody could ever really find any handles. Watch as he gets hit right there, breaks that tackle, gets hit again. Now watch as he spins away from that one. That's 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6, 7, and finally the 8th person is able to put him down after a great run by Leo Hawkins.
Hawkins now with over 70 yards rushing in the contest. Herb Williams split out to the near side of the field on first down and 10. Hawkins spinning across midfield to the 49. Picks up 9 yards before Mark Giles in the secondary can make the stop. Hawkins.
He's just a very stylish runner, Mike. He lifts his legs well, uses the little stiff arm. Now watch, he uses the spin. That time didn't quite get away with it as he did before, as they went right at the ankles and knocked his feet out from under him. But Hawkins has had quite a day today, and particularly when you add Smith to the mix, that's quite a duo for them.
Second down 2. Smith up the middle to the 41-yard line. Mark Giles and Jim Mutimar were in, but not before the first down. And Smith now has over 100 yards rushing in the contest.
Controlling the line of scrimmage. That's what they've done all day for Youngstown State. And then you see the great talent of Smith along with Hawkins, Smith in this case. And it's the secondary people having to make stops, and that's not the way you're going to stop this drive for Youngstown. It's a crisp one right now.
Michael Berry has had to leave the game for the Eagles. 3.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Youngstown leading 19-3. And on first and 10, little running room. Hawkins now with 83 yards rushing.
I tell you, it is a war on the front line. Curtis Gordon, 6'3", 270, number 60 for Georgia Southern, and number 70, that's Paul Kokas for Youngstown State. I mean, they are literally in arm-in-arm combat almost virtually every play. Great trench work by both those players.
Second down 9. In the backfield, ball is loose, but the Penguins come up with it. It'll be 3rd down and long. Michael Morris, number 77, and on the play. He's in there with Michael Berry now on the sideline.
He was right there. It's the second the handoff goes. Now, I made mention very early on, you may recall, that Smith was getting such a very good extension to the line of scrimmage. And quite obviously, Michael Morris, this young man with 203 pounds, just hurling himself in the backfield, and messed that play up.
3rd down long. Eagles trying to do something defensively here, and this time will stop Smith, but a penalty marker is down. Smith picked up a couple of yards before the marker.
Mike, before they march this one off, the Citadel 10, Appalachian State 0 in the second period. Appalachian State trying to win outright the Southern Conference and a bid into the playoffs.
Start offense. Repeat the down, 3rd down.
So that'll move it back to the 45, and it'll be 3rd down and 14.
By the way, Furman, another one of those playoff possible bound teams, number 13 in the nation, Division I AA, 38-14 leaders in the second quarter over East Tennessee State. And also New Hampshire, an earlier score as they were leading Boston College, again by only 7-0 at the half.
A big 3rd down for both teams as Youngstown tries to keep its drive alive, and the Eagles try to get the ball back. Hawkins, 40, 35, trying to leap for the 1st down. It will depend on where he went out of bounds, and it looks like he may be a yard short. He actually leaped for that marker, and he is short by a yard.
Well, watch him again. I think you'll have to give him about at least a 9-2 on the dive on the end of this thing. But he just scampers to the outside. Good quick feet, good pursuit here, but it's too late. And there's the dive and the jump, and you can see him come down well inside. The stripe laying on the sideline, and it was short, but he gave it his college stride going over the top. And there's Mash, number 99, coming from clear the opposite side of the field to help out on the tackle.
And the Penguins are going to go for it on 4th down and a foot at the 32.
Power I.
Up the middle.
Got it.
1st down.
Big play.
Tamron Smith diving over the top for the 1st down. And Youngstown State will continue its drive. But it looks like now they're going to measure, so it'll depend on where they actually spotted it. But it looks like a couple of feet more than needed.
Yeah, my eyes aren't that bad. That's a 1st down easily there. But we'll let the chain tell us what happens here.
Ooh.
Well, the length of football is
Maybe.
easily, right?
That's why they measure.
This is over the top. Smith. There you see that control the line of scrimmage, and all you have to do on the snap of the football is control the first 3 feet in front of you. Now that's what Youngstown has been able to do all day long, and once you do that, influence blocking or whatever, you've got some holes to operate with.
1:15 to go in the 3rd quarter. Youngstown continues its drive. Hawkins hit right at the line of scrimmage. You know, on this drive, the Eagles have done quite well on 2 or 3 of the downs, and then would give up a big play to allow Youngstown to have the first.
You know, Youngstown is doing so well with the option, the running, the dive plays, and whatever. Watch out now for something. This could very easily be a situation where they rear up and throw the ball. Ballinger has been very quiet. Herb Williams with 8 catches against Liberty 2 weeks ago. Watch for number 3 and number 24 as they spread out and look to see if they might throw to them, or Trent Boykin, who's in the game right now.
2nd down, I backfield. 30 seconds to play in the quarter. And the Penguins may have used too much time.
Now the brain trust is probably going to go back again if they were set up to pass, and it did not appear on that down if they were. They didn't have but 2 wide receivers in the game. But now with his second a little longer, you may very easily see a pass here.
Clock rolling now, less than 30 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Youngstown State on top of Georgia Southern, 19-3. Herb Williams split out to the near side of the field. Isaac Goes to the far side, looking for some yardage, and he goes down right at the 32. Nick Davis forced him down. Let's head down to the sideline, Jim.
You know, this may be a tough road game for Youngstown State, but right now they're not playing like it, and that cluster of red on the far side is a gathering of alumni. They brought people in from Tampa, Orlando, Atlanta, Macon. Mike Simoncic, one of the offensive linemen's parents, have come in from New Mexico. A lot of people came down on the plane ride. Youngstown State trying to turn this into a home game, and right now they're hanging right in there with a big lead going to the final 15 minutes.
Thanks, Jim. And we have played 3 full quarters as they move to the other end of the field. Youngstown State enjoying a 19-3 lead. 19-3, Youngstown State leading as we get set for the 4th quarter. And the Eagles have it on offense. Actually are on defense now, trying to stop the Youngstown State offense, which has controlled it for much of the 3rd period. And Isaac up to the 26-yard line, picks up 5.
Well, this broadcast accommodations for some of our crew and staff are being provided by the Days Inn of Statesboro. Free continental breakfast, exercise room, cable TV, jacuzzi suites, and efficiencies available located right across from Georgia Southern University. Convenient to shopping and restaurants. For nationwide reservations, call toll-free 1-800-325-2525 and ask for the Mike Tilley Suite.
Jeff Wilkins in to attempt a 43-yard field goal. He had a 48-yarder in the first half. It's blocked. And the Eagles will take over at the 32.
We mentioned big plays from the special teams. They blocked a punt in the first half to go out of the half down 12-3. And now quite obviously getting a major break here and blocking a field goal try.
Clint Averett gets in to block the field goal. The Eagles offensive unit comes back onto the field, and the crowd will try to come up with some support. And you'll remember the Eagles offense has done its best in the 4th quarter this year. Certainly the last couple of games. 14-15 left to play in the final period in Statesboro, Georgia. 19-3. Youngstown State has led throughout the contest. The Penguins were on top 12-3 at halftime. Derek McGrady, number 9, back in the lineup. He started the game. Pressure. And throws it away. Willis, the closest receiver, but he just tried to get rid of it.
Grady had a lot of company back there, a lot of pursuit by Youngstown State. And quite obviously getting it from all sides as that time Vecchio came in from the opposite side. And Chris, 6'3", 228, good pursuit, and McGrady ironically threw the ball over the bench for Georgia Southern and almost threw it directly into a trash can. Throws very well. Incomplete on that one.
McGrady 0 for 3 passing in the game. Remember, he brought Georgia Southern from a 21-0 deficit to beat James Madison a couple of weeks ago, and the coaches hope he can do it here. Pass complete midfield to Darrell Belser. First down, Eagles.
Again, these passes are 10, 15 inside a 10 or 15-yard range, and then let the receiver, the Belser, along with the Sorrell, do what they can when they catch the football. Have not thrown well to backs out of the backfield, and particularly the injured Don Hudson has taken a little weapon away. But this is a good route. It's a down and then just a curl. Running the sidelines there by Belser. And Belser already with over 260 yards in reception makes a key one here. The Eagles of Georgia Southern.
First down 10. McGrady completes it to Belser. Picks up 7 to the 43.
Now, Mike, you may recall a few moments ago they threw the ball such a long distance to Belcher in that same situation. This time the ball was thrown not more than 17 or 18 yards. Belcher caught the ball, was able to do something with it on a quick hitter. Before, with the ball staying in the air so long, Youngstown was able to react, and they got nothing the last time they tried that kind of play to Belcher.
Second down 4. Eford in the backfield. Belser and Willis split out. McGrady looking to throw, complete to Willis across the 30, 25 to the 22. Fumbles the ball, but it's ruled dead at the 23, and so another first down for the Eagles.
One of the key ingredients to a passing game is giving your quarterback time to do something with it. McGrady, you can see the good blocking in front of him. He's got all day. Underneath, Willis makes the catch. Now watch as he goes down right here. He has the ball in his possession, and after he's down, the ball springs loose. Good call by the officials that time.
McGrady now 3 of 6 for 45 yards. He's hit the last 3 receivers that he's intended to throw it to. McGrady pressure this time, runs 20, down at the 17. Picks up 5 yards, but the clock is rolling with 12:50 to go in the game.
Is there something in their sideline drink in the fourth quarter they use here at Georgia Southern or what? Trying to do it again.
Remember, a couple of times the Eagles have gotten close to scoring, but have turned it over 3 times, all in the first half. Plenty of time, incomplete, underthrows Belser. It's going to be 3rd down and about 5, and 3rd down conversions have not been kind to the Eagles today.
Good deep coverage in the end zone. They were looking to the near sideline. Willis was one of the receivers over there, and also they had brought in another one that's coming from the far side is Steve Payne, number 22. They'd both gone to the near sideline. Good coverage back there by Reggie Brown and also Dave Newby to kind of prevent McGrady from going to this corner of the end zone. Big play here for Georgia Southern and for Youngstown State.
McGrady looking over the middle, dumps it off, complete. Payne across the 10-yard line for the first down. Steve Payne, the sophomore from Chatsworth, number 22, comes into the game and makes the catch.
This time the running back coming out of the backfield, a responsibility of a linebacker. Nobody picked him up. That time it was Ron Brown that overran it. And then, of course, they just do the rest, and a big play there for Georgia Southern.
1st and goal at the 8-yard line. 12 minutes to play. McGrady complete to Belser, out of bounds inside the 5. And Belser has been the clutch receiver throughout the season. A couple of weeks ago at 170 yards receiving, a couple of touchdowns in that win over James Madison.
Mike, we're watching the scoreboard. 1 final is in. West Virginia 28, Rutgers 3. A lot of games are getting close, and we'll bring you up to date on all the finals as soon as they are available and update you on some partial scores as time permits here.
2nd down goal, 5-yard line. McGrady now with 57 yards passing. Up the middle, up to the 2-yard line.
Guess what? 3rd down. Here we go.
Speaking of 3rd down conversions, the Eagles are now 1 of 9 on 3rd down conversions. The only one came just on the last 3rd down play. 3rd down goal at the 3. 11.5 minutes to play. The Eagles trail 19-3. Pitch. Touchdown. Steve Payne with the 3-yard touchdown, and the Eagles score the first touchdown of the game for themselves. And the second quarter, or actually the fourth quarter, has begun.
All of this set up, you may recall, on a 34-yard field goal try by Youngstown and a block. And this is the culmination of it, and nicely done. As again, Payne steps in, and again, after crossing the goal line, does not get a finger laid on him. Good blocking from the outside, and Steve Payne, used sparingly, steps in. Key score here, the sophomore from Chatsworth. And a key extra point coming here, and they're going to go for 2.
2-point conversion attempt, if successful, would bring them to within 8. McGrady has to keep it. And good.
Oh, my.
The second effort pays off. The Eagles move the ball for the score and the 2-point conversion.
Well, they say the fourth quarter belongs to Georgia Southern. This moment of the sun belongs to McGrady. Look at the effort to get the ball in the end zone.
Now an 8-point game, 11:21 to go. Back at Paulson Stadium, Statesboro, Georgia. Youngstown State with an 8-point lead, coming from a 19-3 deficit now to score in the fourth period. As David Kuhl, number 3, gets ready to kick it off. Dave Roberts waiting back, and he'll let it go out of the end zone. So Youngstown State will begin at the 20-yard line, and the Penguins have moved the ball on the ground so successfully so far. But as we actually move to this fourth quarter and Youngstown State gets it back, we'll see if the Eagle defense can do something here. And there's a look at the scoring drive. 68 yards, 10 plays, less than 3 minutes. And Steve Payne scores his first career touchdown.
Well, it's your basic option, just a pitch to the outside. You see the lineman pulling out, trapping down, and it's all over. Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Isaac handing off to the first man through, a couple of yards for Hawkins.
Mike, Youngstown State has owned the offensive line of scrimmage most of the day today. Now Georgia Southern has just taken over their offensive line of scrimmage, and now it becomes the Eagles on defense to try to follow suit. If Youngstown State is to win this football game, they've got to maintain their poise on this side of the football and continue to win the line of scrimmage.
10 minutes, 50 seconds to play. The handoff again to number 25, Smith. He's up to the 28-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down 3. An injured player down on the field. We'll try and check out who that is. It looks like Smith, number 25, Tamron Smith, who has over 100 yards rushing in the contest. While they attend to him, we'll take a break. 10 minutes, 30 seconds to play. It's an 8-point game in Statesboro, Georgia. Georgia Southern has won 24 straight games in the month of November and trying to come back from a deficit there, leading now 19-11 as you look at Tamron Smith, who was shaken up on the previous play, and he's on the sideline. Looks like he'll be back. 3rd down 3. The give in the backfield, Hawkins. The Eagles play great defense. Paul Sickley was there along with number 61 who was in on the play. Carroll.
Paul Carroll. And you see one of their fine linebackers, Sickley, number 30. Penetration, and that's the defense they have now turned over and won the line of scrimmage. Sickley, you see how deep he is in the backfield, and then Carroll comes in to help out and finish him off.
Butcherelli will have to kick from the 10-yard line. He had one blocked in the first half.
Kicking into a pretty good win here, Mike.
High snap. Gets it away. Low punt. Not very good. Hits at the 44 and up to the 45. And so that's where Georgia Southern will begin offensively, trailing by 8 points. Ball officially marked at the 45-yard line. So the Eagle defense does what it has to do. Will the Eagle offense rise to the occasion? We'll be back with a final 9 minutes, 36 seconds to play in the game. Youngstown State on top 19-11 over the defending 1AA national champions, Georgia Southern. Both teams with 3 losses this year, fighting to get into the playoffs, and crucial is this game, crucial this drive. McGrady going long. Sorrell is there, knocked away, incomplete. Reggie Brown was there to knock it away.
This is just pure athletic ability against athletic ability. Reggie Brown has already intercepted a pitch out and gone for a score stride for stride with one of the fastest receivers you'll find in Sorrell. Knocks it away at the goal line. A huge play for particularly Youngstown. Let's go to Jim Campbell.
Well, you'll recall back in the first quarter when we went to the Georgia Southern bench, the defense was very busy trying to make adjustments. They came back this last time, hooting and hollering, got a drink, sat down and relaxed, and it was just a moment ago that the staff brought out the board just to verify some things for them. So they're cooking right now.
Payne with the reception up to the 48-yard line, picks up 3, but it's going to be 3rd down. Third down, again, has not been good for Georgia Southern. 2 of 10 on third down conversions. Payne leaves the lineup. Don Hudson goes back in. Third down 7, facing Derek McGrady, the junior quarterback out of Statesboro High School. Coach Tim Stowers looking for a big play here. McGrady to throw. Good protection. Now he'll run midfield. Fighting for the first down, and he's right at the marker as a penalty flag goes down. And we may have a face mask penalty. Boy, McGrady has done an outstanding job here in the fourth quarter, reaching for the additional yardage.
Well, he stretched out for 2 yards to get the 2-point conversion, and now he stretches for another 2 yards and gets a penalty on top of it.
Face mask, personal foul, defense, first down.
You see McGrady back, and again the line of scrimmage has been controlled well by Georgia Southern. The quick feed of McGrady. He is walled in here, but watch him fight, and there was the face mask inadvertently right across the face mask, but McGrady does the rest. A big first down for Georgia Southern.
Ball at the 30-yard line. Pass complete to Belser. Fighting up to the 26. Picks up 4, 8 minutes, 5 seconds to play in the game. Georgia Southern trailing by 8.
Mike, that little play to Belser on the outside, it doesn't look like much, but what it's doing is kind of subtly setting up. Belser goes to the outside, fakes the little curl to the sideline, and then curls inside the overrunning linebackers, and boom, you've got an opening down the middle and a big play by Belser.
Terrence Sorrell split out to the near side of the field. Belser to the far side. Eford, 25, 20, up to the 17. First down, Eagles.
Eford has been quiet all day today. Here's a little delay and a draw coming right up the left side. Good control in the line of scrimmage, and Eford does the rest. You may recall that he's let go of the football a couple of times today and still kind of carried that one, a little loaf of breadish, if you will. But got away with it with a first down for Georgia Southern.
7.5 minutes to play. First down 10 for the Eagles. McGrady up to the 10-yard line. And he's psyched and pumped up. Coach Stowers saying, why do we wait till the fourth quarter?
And probably won't look 33 after this season's over, that's for sure. Coach Jim Tressel across the way trying to figure out what in the world's going on here.
McGrady now with 8 rushes for 28 yards. Second down 2. And off to Eford, up to the 5-yard line.
That was some nice running. Just waited to see what his lineman would create, just kept running down the line of scrimmage and just took what the defense would give him. And it's enough for the first and goal.
First down and goal at the 6-yard line. 5.5 minutes to play in the game. Georgia Southern trails by 8. McGrady on the option, keeps, turns it back inside, hit right at the line, but he picks up a couple up to the 3. And the clock continues to roll. If Georgia Southern scores and then comes up with a 2-point conversion, it would tie the game. But that's the best the Eagles can do at this point on this series. McGrady, second and goal. Pitching back, Hudson, he's driven out of bounds at the 3.
Youngstown State just kind of stretching that defense out, not letting the corners be turned by anybody. Hudson, good to see him back in after getting that injury early in the game. But again, they've done a good job. Their 2 corners turning everything in. If Newby, Smith, and Brown All doing the job. Roberts and Everett, all good support from their secondary people.
Third down goal at the 3. 2 of 11 on third down conversions for the Eagles this afternoon. McGrady rolling out. 5, touchdown. Touchdown. The ball came loose in the end zone, but the officials had already ruled a touchdown, and the Eagles have pulled to within 2.
McGrady with people out in front of him. Eford is blocking to the outside. McGrady sees it. Eford then loosens up, comes to the inside of McGrady. Did he cross the goal line with the ball? Did the ground create the fumble? That's the key. Let's watch it. He's stripped again, and that's Kevin Brown stripping the ball. Boy, that was close. He may not have had full possession of that football crossing the goal line. Officials right on top of it, Howard made the call.
There's Marcus Evans, number 82, shaken up on the play. Evans transferred from the University of Tennessee. But the Eagles do an outstanding job moving the ball 55 yards after the defense held Youngstown State for really the first time in the contest, allowing them only 3 downs. And an injured player down on the field. We'll try and check out who that is. It looks like Smith, number 25, Tamron Smith, who has over 100 yards rushing in the contest. While they attend to him, we'll take a break. 10 minutes, 30 seconds to play. It's an 8-point game in Statesboro, Georgia. Georgia Southern has won 24 straight games in the month of November and trying to come back from a deficit there, leading now 19-11 as you look at Tamron Smith, who was shaken up on the previous play, and he's on the sideline. Looks like he'll be back. 3rd down 3. The give in the backfield, Hawkins. The Eagles play great defense. Paul Sickley was there along with number 61 who was in on the play. Carroll.
Paul Carroll. And you see one of their fine linebackers, Sickley, number 30. Penetration, and that's the defense. They have now turned over and won the line of scrimmage. Sickley, you see how deep he is in the backfield, and then Carroll comes in to help out and finish him off.
Bucciarelli will have to kick from the 10-yard line. He had one blocked in the first half.
Kicking into a pretty good win here, Mike.
High snap. Gets it away. Low punt. Not very good. Hits at the 44 and up to the 45. And so that's where Georgia Southern will begin offensively, trailing by 8 points. Ball officially marked at the 45-yard line. So the Eagle defense does what it has to do. Will the Eagle offense rise to the occasion? We'll be back with a final 9 minutes, 36 seconds to play in the game. Youngstown State on top 19-11 over the defending 1AA national champions, Georgia Southern. Both teams with 3 losses this year, fighting to get into the playoffs, and crucial is this game, crucial this drive. McGrady going long. Sorrell is there, knocked away, incomplete. Reggie Brown was there to knock it away.
This is just pure athletic ability against athletic ability. Reggie Brown has already intercepted a pitch out and gone for a score stride for stride with one of the fastest receivers you'll find in Sorrell. Knocks it away at the goal line. A huge play for particularly Youngstown. Let's go to Jim Campbell.
Well, you'll recall back in the first quarter when we went to the Georgia Southern bench, the defense was very busy trying to make adjustments. They came back this last time, hooting and hollering, got a drink, sat down and relaxed, and it was just a moment ago that the staff brought out the board just to verify some things for them. So they're cooking right now.
Payne with the reception up to the 48-yard line, picks up 3, but it's going to be 3rd down. And 3rd down, again, has not been good for Georgia Southern. 2 of 10 on 3rd down conversions. Payne leaves the lineup. Don Hudson goes back in. 3rd down 7, facing Derek McGrady, the junior quarterback out of Statesboro High School. Coach Tim Stowers looking for a big play here. McGrady to throw. Good protection. Now he'll run midfield. Fighting for the first down, and he's right at the marker as a penalty flag goes down. And we may have a face mask penalty. Boy, McGrady has done an outstanding job here in the fourth quarter, reaching for the additional yardage.
Well, he stretched out for 2 yards to get the 2-point conversion, and now he stretches for another 2 yards and gets a penalty on top of it.
Face mask, personal foul, defense, first down.
You see McGrady back, and again the line of scrimmage has been controlled well by Georgia Southern. The quick feed of McGrady. He is walled in here, but launching fight, and there was the face mask inadvertently right across the face mask, but McGrady does the rest. A big first down for Georgia Southern.
Ball at the 30-yard line. Pass complete to Belser. Fighting up to the 26. Picks up 4, 8 minutes, 5 seconds to play in the game. Georgia Southern trailing by 8.
Mike, that little play to Belser on the outside, it doesn't look like much, but what it's doing is kind of subtly setting up. Belser goes to the outside, fakes a little curl to the sideline, and then curls inside the overrunning linebackers, and boom, you've got an opening down the middle and a big play by Belser.
Terrence Sorrell split out to the near side of the field. Belser to the far side. Eford, 25, 20, up to the 17. First down, Eagles.
Eford has been quiet all day today. Here's a little delay and a draw coming right up the left side. Good control on the line of scrimmage, and Eford does the rest. You may recall that he's let go of the football a couple of times today and still kind of carried that one a little loaf of breadish, if you will, but got away with it with a first down for Georgia Southern.
7.5 minutes to play. First down 10 for the Eagles. McGrady up to the 10-yard line. And he's psyched and pumped up. Coach Stowers saying, why do we wait till the fourth quarter?
And probably won't look 33 after this season's over, that's for sure. Coach Jim Tressel across the way trying to figure out what in the world's going on here.
McGrady now with 8 rushes for 28 yards. Second down 2. And off to Eford, up to the 5-yard line.
That was some nice running. Just waited to see what his lineman would create, just kept running down the line of scrimmage and just took what the defense would give him. And it's enough for the first and goal.
First down and goal at the 6-yard line. 5.5 minutes to play in the game. Georgia Southern trails by 8. McGrady on the option. Keeps, turns it back inside. Hit right at the line, but he picks up a couple up to the 3. And the clock continues to roll. If Georgia Southern scores and then comes up with a 2-point conversion, it would tie the game. But that's the best the Eagles can do at this point on this series. McGrady, second and goal. Pitching back, Hudson, he's driven out of bounds at the 3.
Youngstown State just kind of stretching that defense out, not letting the corners be turned by anybody. Hudson, good to see him back in after getting that injury early in the game. But again, they've done a good job. Their 2 corners turning everything in. If Newby, Smith, and Brown all doing the job. Roberts and Everett, all good support from their secondary people.
Third down goal at the 3. 2 of 11 on third down conversions for the Eagles this afternoon. McGrady rolling out. 5, touchdown. Touchdown. The ball came loose in the end zone, but the officials had already ruled a touchdown. And the Eagles have pulled to within 2.
McGrady with people out in front of him. Eford is blocking to the outside. McGrady sees it. Eford then loosens up, comes to the inside of McGrady. Did he cross the goal line with the ball? Did the ground create the fumble? That's the key. Let's watch it. He's stripped again, and that's Kevin Brown stripping the ball. Boy, that was close. He may not have had full possession of that football crossing the goal line. Officials right on top of it, however, made the call.
And there's Marcus Evans, number 82, shaken up on the play. Evans transferred from the University of Tennessee. But the Eagles do an outstanding job moving the ball 55 yards after the defense held Youngstown State for really the first time in the contest, allowing them only 3 downs.
Let's take a look at it again here, Mike, and see. Again, McGrady. This is from behind the play. There is Kevin Brown reaching in, number 89. Now, there's the football right there. He has not crossed the football plane of the goal line, and that is a major break for Georgia Southern because the ball never crossed the goal line in the possession of McGrady, the quarterback.
Well, the officials are from the Mid-American Conference.
And that is right there in the Youngstown, Ohio area. By the way, Vanderbilt 34, Army 3. That's in the third period. Boston College leading Pittsburgh 38-12. It is Syracuse 13, Syracuse 6. Alabama and Mississippi State tied at 7 in the third. Citadel 17-7 over Appalachian State. And Clemson 28-0 over Wake Forest. An update on some of the scores.
Georgia Southern now will go for the 2-point conversion. If successful, would tie the game at 19 all. If not, remember, a field goal could win it really for either team if the Eagles could get it back, or if Youngstown State could move the ball into field goal range. Crucial 2-point conversion. McGrady pitching back. Hopkins did not get in. Trying to run the option with Hopkins, but he did not get in. And so the Eagles still trail by 2. Hopkins gets close, but not close enough. The Eagles trail by 2 with 5:40 to go. Youngstown State leads Georgia Southern 19-7 with 5.5 minutes to play in the contest as the sun starts to set here in Statesboro, and David Kuhl, who's kicking off for the Eagles, hit a 60-yard field goal his freshman year. He wants a shot. This one out of the end zone, and so Youngstown State will get it at the 20-yard line. Let's head down to the sideline. Jim?
Well, you know what that 2-point conversion play did, guys? It took a lot of question marks out of this game. A tie will do Youngstown State no good in their bid for the playoffs. Georgia Southern, because it's the defending national champion, might have gotten a break getting one tie to the finish of their season. Now it looks like one team or the other is going to go out of here definitely with a win and still on the road to the national title.
Good point, Jim. 20-yard line for Youngstown State. An offense that has moved so effectively in the contest prior to its last possession. Isaac pitching out. Hawkins, and he's across the 25-yard line. Officially spotted at the 26, so it's going to be 2nd down and 4. 10 plays, 55 yards, under 4 minutes before McGrady scored for the Eagles. The 2-point conversion failed, as you'll remember. And that's the difference. With 5 minutes and 10 seconds to play, 2 players for the Penguins rushing over 100 yards today. Cameron Smith and Leo Hawkins. 2nd down, 4. Up the middle, no room. Nick Davis crashed it in from the middle linebacker position.
Mike, if you're Youngstown State, you don't want to do anything you have not done throughout the entire day. You go to your plays. You say, what has worked? Well, this play has worked almost throughout the entire day, or a slant by either Smith or Hawkins, which is probably what you'll see right now. But you go to the plays that have worked with you all day long. You don't do anything fancy here. You don't try to throw a big bomb. You just try to get first downs.
4.5 minutes to play. 3rd down, 4. Isaac on the option, keeps up to the 29. He's about a yard short. Again, it will depend on where it's marked, but it appears to be about a yard short.
If Youngstown has not made this, obviously, with David Kuhl on the other sideline, you want to get that ball as far away from the goal post as you can, and that means punt time for Youngstown if they don't make this first down on this stretch of the chain.
Well, our head official was saying it's about a foot short.
What does he know? He's only 10 feet away from the play there.
The officials are going to confer. It appeared that Jim Mutimer, the defensive standout for the Eagles, felt like some time ran off the clock following the play, with 3:57 showing now. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do, but no time will go back on. So 3 minutes 57 seconds left in the game. It's going to be 4th down and about a foot.
And Youngstown appears to be lining up that they are going to go for it. What an interesting twist this is for Youngstown.
Nick Cochran in the lineup at quarterback, and he dives up the middle. Again, it'll depend on the mark.
What a huge play, and what a gutsy play by Youngstown State. And here it is. You don't chance a handoff. You win that again. As I said, the 3 feet in front of you. If you're a down lineman, and Cochran just right in behind center. And they get the first down, and that's a huge play for Youngstown.
Oh, Coach Jim Tressel is going to have to look back on that as a gutsy call. First down 10, 31-yard line. Not much running room at all for Smith. The clock continues to roll with 3:15 to play.
What happens now, Georgia Southern's going to have to start using up those timeouts as well. And that, of course, will add to the suspense and drama if they can preserve and not get a score here by Youngstown and get the ball back and get David Kuhl in field goal range. He'll have the wind at his back, and it is a gusting one up to probably 20 to 22 miles per hour at times.
Coach Tressel deciding to go on 4th down and short, and it has paid off so far. 2:45 to play. Isaac in the backfield. Paul Sickley was there to drag him down at the 30, so it'll be 3rd down and 12, and the Eagles take their first time out of the second half.
Well, look at the backside pursuit. That is Mash, number 99, that grabs him there, and then Oglesby comes up to finish him off, and Sickley, the 3rd defender in for Georgia Southern. That play had earmarks of being a big one there, as Oglesby had elected to come in and support on the inside. There was nobody outside, and had that pitch been made, Youngstown could have had a big play, but they don't. And Georgia Southern forces this big 3rd down play here now for the Penguins.
The defensive coaches talking with the Eagles. Jeff McEnery, linebacker coach. Tom Spangler, the secondary. Tim Stowers, the head coach.
Let me give you some other finals. Boston College 38, Pittsburgh 12. I mentioned West Virginia over Rutgers 28-3. And North Carolina all over Maryland today 24-0. Vanderbilt pounding Army 41-10. That's in the 4th quarter. Harvard over Dartmouth 24-7. Elsewhere, Alabama leads Mississippi State 13-7 there in the 4th quarter. Clemson 28-3 over Wake Forest. Citadel 17. Appalachian State 7. Duke is trailing Georgia Tech 10-3. And East Carolina, how about the Pirates? 31-7 over Tulane in the 3rd quarter.
3rd down 11. Isaac looking to pass. Complete, wide open, 40-yard line, 45 across the 50 for the first down, and out of bounds. Ron Strolio with his first catch of the afternoon and gets the great Penguin offense into Eagle territory.
Well, that time the run support by the linebackers cost him. As Strollo comes out of that tight end position, he's wide open as he drops by the linebackers and then gets into the secondary. Catching up from behind is going to be Mark Giles. And also coming over is going to be Oglesby, but too late, and Youngstown may have just about sealed one away if they can keep this drive alive.
2 minutes, 28 seconds left. Youngstown on top by 2. The handoff, Smith across the 40-yard line, picks up 3. It'll be second down, 7. Coach Tim Stowers trying to get his defense to come up with the big play. The Eagles have turned the ball over 3 times in the contest. Youngstown has yet to turn it over.
And we talk so much about them avoiding the turnovers, which the lowest ratio of turnover margins they've had in the last 3 years after leading the nation at 89 and 90 in turnover percentage or margin.
Less than 2 minutes to play. The handoff, Hawkins. He picks up 4 yards to the 35, and it's going to be third down 3. And the clock stops as the Eagles take the timeout. 1:41 to go.
Georgia Southern using up that timeout. Now keep in mind, Georgia Southern right now 5-3. Youngstown at 4-3. I would move Youngstown back into it if they prevail in this ball game. Lehigh at 6-1, electing not to go to the playoffs with their conference affiliation. Marshall is 4-3. Sanford 7-1. Southwest Missouri 5-2-1, as is Northeast Louisiana. Boise State at 5-2. James Madison playing Liberty today at 6-2. And Furman at 5-2 looks like they're on the way to a victory. So you can see that both Georgia Southern and Youngstown had a chance to overtake some other people, but it does not look good right now for the Eagles as they've got to come up with something magical against Youngstown.
Nick Davis, number 47, the sophomore middle linebacker, shaken up on the play.
Hi, Dad.
Is that David Cool?
Yes, it may be, giving Dad equal time. That's nice to hear.
He wants a shot at the field goal. And there's Nick Davis coming off the field.
By the way, a reminder, speaking of James Madison, Youngstown will play them at Youngstown. That's coming up next weekend. It'll be an off weekend for Georgia Southern. On the 16th, they'll be back at home against Troy State. And if they lose today, they'd have to rely on a lot of help from a lot of people to have any hopes of making the playoffs. It may be coming to an end here in Statesboro.
Georgia Southern with 1 timeout left. 1:41 to go. Third down 4. Ray Isaac at quarterback. I backfield. Boykin in motion. Close to the first down. Isaac keeping. And it may call for another measurement. But the clock stops with 1:32 to play.
Well, in this situation, Youngstown has 2 downs to get the first down because you know they're going to go for it here if they win for it back up the field. So, yes, you get it down to the stake. Yes, you make it if you do. If you go ahead and take another thing they're doing is running off some more time off that clock. And then they, too, could line up for a long field goal try. But obviously, if they wanted to pooch kick the ball down inside the 10-yard line, they would just still use some more time. So it's a 2-down situation here for Youngstown, so they feel rather comfortable even if they don't make it here. And they apparently don't.
Less than a foot. Last time Youngstown State faced a 4th and short, they brought in backup quarterback Nick Cochran, who just took it right up the middle, and he's back in the lineup now.
Well, the linebackers will be right on the top of the defensive lineman. I don't think Youngstown would do any kind of handoff or exchange in this situation, but stranger things have happened. But I would say Cochran's going to just take it again, and Georgia Southern wants a timeout to talk this thing over. And more than importantly, to stop the clock.
And the timeout is credited to the Eagles, and that's their last timeout. So it all comes down to 4th down and a half a foot.
You know, I think if you go back for Georgia Southern, you look at this ball game, and they will, under the scrutiny of the tape, there's 2 key things that happened to them. They could not get the ball in the air to a receiver early on. You may recall they went through the whole first half, finally hit a pass in the second half. That was a key because the running offense just was not what it was, particularly against Central Florida. The second thing, they were 0 for 8 in third down conversions early in the ball game. Finally got a conversion on the 9th try. And if you look at those two things under a microscope and on the film, you say, fellas, we lost the football game right there. You can talk about the pitch out that was intercepted for the score. You can talk about the 2 field goals and the eventual touchdown by Youngstown, but those 2 factors alone will pay big dividends for Youngstown in coming up with a victory today. And you owe a great deal of it, obviously, to their defense in this situation.
Youngstown State allowed just 3 points in the first half. And Nick Cochran, number 10, who snuck for the first down, faces 4th down and a foot. And he'll try to do it here. Looks like he has the first down. If so, all Youngstown State has to do is let the clock run down.
Curtiz, Gerber, and Roscoe, their 3 interior linemen, the center and the 2 guards, and they have won that battle for the most part all day long and done an excellent job. And it appears from here that they've made it, but I guess they're going to measure one more time.
You want to be sure on something like that.
Absolutely. While they're bringing the change in, a couple updates on some other scores. Georgia Tech leading Duke 10-3. Kentucky leads Cincinnati 17-14, and Youngstown does have the first down.
1:25 to go. And the Penguins starting to celebrate on the sideline. And as well in the huddle, Nick Cochran sneaking up the middle for that first down. He did it back at his own 30-yard line, and what could have been a crucial mistake for the Penguins had they not gotten it, but in taking the risk and doing it really took away the Eagles' momentum.
Huge play. That came at 3:26 of the quarter, and now they've eaten up the rest of the time here. Just a huge play for Youngstown State, and a gutty play as they throw themselves right back in the Division I AA playoff picture, with Georgia Southern having only 1 timeout left.
Going down on one knee. Clock continues to roll with 1 minute to play.
This is where everybody has to kind of keep their cool. Georgia Southern's frustrated. Youngstown State has come to Georgia Southern and done what they needed to do. I made mention of 2 factors for Georgia Southern. One factor for these guys is that their defense has been very solid, and secondly, their running game behind Smith and Hawkins has been just short of magnificent today.
Youngstown State has to host James Madison next week, and JMU rated in the top 20 entering its game with Liberty, then host Slippery Rock and close out the season at Towson State on November 23rd. So it does not end here for Youngstown State, but a victory over Georgia Southern goes a long way toward the playoff possibilities, as the Penguins hope to return to the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. And based on how the other teams do, Georgia Southern may be unable to defend its national championship. Coach Tressel, Coach Stowers congratulating each other at the middle of the field, but Youngstown State has done it, beaten Georgia Southern 19-7. And despite the Eagles' rally and desperate attempt to come back in the 4th quarter, it's not enough. Georgia Southern falls to 5-4. The Youngstown State team goes to 5-3. For all involved in the game, including Sam Smith, this is Mike Tilley. Our final score, Youngstown State 19, Georgia Southern 17.